Chapter 441. Under Qin Wanshou's eyes, Qin Huayu led the nearly invincible Devil Dragon army and slaughtered the Autumn Water Sword sect's 20,000 people. He was completely unharmed. Then, Yang Dingtian ordered the 20,000 heads to be built into the capital to intimidate the world. The topmost head was Autumn Qingchuan. Qin Wanshou looked at all this. Although he was incomparably furious, he didn't make a move. Then, Yang Dingtian made a strategic declaration under the capital. Qin Wanshou didn't say anything. Finally, when Yang Dingtian turned to leave, he couldn't help but summon them to negotiate. Son greets father. Qin Huayu got off his mount and knelt on the ground. Yang Dingtian greets City Lord Qin. Yang Dingtian got off his mount and bowed. Yang Dingtian, you're very impressive. In just a few months, you've made my son completely useless. He has no opinions and is like a slave. Qin Wanshou sneered. Qin Huayu was a proud person. Being called a slave and having no opinions was a huge blow to him. Qin Wanshou wanted to drive a wedge between Yang Dingtian and Qin Huayu. However, Qin Huayu didn't have any expression. Even his eyes didn't move. Qin Wanshou's provocation was useless. In these few months, too many things had happened in his time with Yang Dingtian. They had gone through countless life and death situations together. Yang Dingtian had saved his life more than once. Yang Dingtian had helped him more than once. Qin Huayu knew clearly in his heart how much he owed Yang Dingtian. Furthermore, it would be a joke to say that he didn't have his own opinions, was a good-for-nothing, and was like an obedient servant. They knew that they obeyed Yang Dingtian. They saw him as their leader, but their relationship was completely equal. They were completely brothers in life and death. It was fundamentally different from the majority of people in power in the world who saw their subordinates as slaves. If City Lord Qin is here to talk to me about this, then don't waste my time, Yang Dingtian said indifferently. When Qin Wanshou saw that he did not succeed in sowing discord, he immediately smiled faintly and said, Yang Dingtian, let me tell you a huge piece of bad news. Please speak, Yang Dingtian said. Regarding your suggestion of causing the death of Dongfang Bingling and making you a sinner of the world, as well as the suggestion of expelling Cloud Sky City from the Tiando League. The Northwest Branch had already submitted it to the Eastern Cloud State as quickly as possible. Furthermore, the decision will be made in advance. Before your battle with Qin Chichi, the decision will have to be made and announced to the world. Qin Wanshou said. The muscles on Yang Dingtian's face twitched. This was bad news, deadly bad news, incomparably bad news. Qin Wanshou smiled and said, you can only blame yourself for being too incisive. You actually pulled Qin Huayu, Song Chunhua, Vulture, and Zhu Hongxue to one side, and your momentum rose greatly all of a sudden. Therefore, Qin Chichi and Ning Wuming are somewhat unable to sit still. Therefore, the decision will be made in advance. Once the decision is passed, you will become a sinner of the Tiando League. You will become the public enemy of the world. You will lose before the war even begins. I know, Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said. Then, you should also know that my Northwest Qin City has direct veto power in the Tiando League Conference, Qin Wanshou said. In your original strategic chessboard, there were two key pieces. One was the world society, and the other was my Qin City. It can be said that the life and death of your political war completely depends on the two of us. I admit, Yang Dingtian said. However, your world society's marriage strategy has completely failed. Now, your only hope is my Qin City, Qin Wanshou said. You need a big shot to speak for you in the Tiando League Conference. Right now, you keep saying that you are the leader of the hidden sect and that you represent the Tiando League, but it's useless. If you are listed as an evil way in the Tiando League Conference and Cloud Sky City is expelled, then your declaration and your righteousness will become a complete joke. My Qin City will become your only hope. That's right, I admit, Yang Dingtian said. However, your world society's marriage alliance has failed. You don't have any bargaining chips in your hands to negotiate with me. Qin Wanchou smiled and said, "What can you use in exchange for me standing on your side? What can you use in exchange for my veto power? I won't say a word for you. You have already lost the war with Qin Chichi before it even started. You don't even have a chance to fight." Yang Dingtian nodded and admitted. "I, Qin Wanchou, am already your only hope," Qin Wanchou said with a faint smile. "I'm giving you a chance to convince me. I'm giving you a chance to negotiate. What are you planning to use to bribe me?" Yang Dingtian smiled and said, "City Lord Qin, aren't you afraid that the Temple of Annihilation will blame you for speaking up for me?" Qin Wanchou smiled indifferently and said, "A martial grandmaster like me has a very high status. At least before the Demon King revives, they can only try to rope me in and can't be my enemy. Hee, in this world, even sitting on the fence depends on strength. Come, Yang Dingtian, name your price. I can consider saving you," Qin Wanchou smiled and said. Then, he narrowed his eyes and looked down at Yang Dingtian. "No, I don't have any bargaining chips. I won't name any price. You can do whatever you want," Yang Dingtian said coldly. Instantly, Qin Wanchou's expression changed. Then, he shook his head and said, "Yang Dingtian, you really disappoint me. Being so impulsive, how can you be a qualified leader?" Then, Qin Wanchou sneered and said, "Yang Dingtian, put away your impulsiveness and pride. I'll give you one last chance to negotiate. Tell me, what bargaining chips do you have to bribe me to veto the Tiando League meeting? This way, you'll still have a chance to fight Qin Chichi and prove yourself to the world. Otherwise, you'll be dead before the battle even begins." Yang Dingtian spread his hands and said, "I don't have any bargaining chips. If you think I do, you can name your own price." Begging for the blessings of the strong was absurd in itself. It was impossible. "City Lord Qin, do you think I have any bargaining chips? Then, you can name your price." Qin Wanchou was so angry that he almost couldn't help but leave. Indeed, why would he negotiate? Of course, it wasn't because he pitied Yang Dingtian, but because he had a request. Soon, Qin Wanchou calmed down and said, "You have bargaining chips. I'll name my price. First, Qin Zhaojiao will divorce you and send her to Qin City. Second, hand over Qin Huayu and let him return to Qin City. From today onwards, he will have nothing to do with you. Third, give me half of the Devil Dragon Cavalry. Fourth, this definitely isn't a condition, but a goodwill from me. I know you have a young son and you're destined to be destroyed in this war. Then, let Zhaojiao bring this child to Qin City. I'll let her treat him as her own and leave behind a bloodline for you. Of course, in the war a month later, if you win, you can bring the child back." At this point, Qin Wanchou's face was filled with compassion and kindness. With that, Qin Wanchou smiled and said, "Just these 4 conditions. It's very simple and you can easily fulfill them. You have to agree to these 4 conditions during the Tiando League meeting. When Leng Yanmei proposes to punish you, Yang Dingtian, and remove Cloud Sky City's name, I will use my veto power." The Tiando League had a total of 5 veto powers. The first was the Hidden Sect. The second was the Yinyang School. The third was the Black Heaven Sect. The fourth was the Vulture Palace. The fifth was the Northwest Qin City. Among them, the Hidden Sect, the Yinyang School, and the Black Heaven Sect always had veto power. As for the Vulture Palace and the Northwest Qin City, they were on a rotational basis and had about 20 years of power. Hearing these 4 conditions, even though Yang Dingtian told himself not to be angry, endless anger still surged in his heart. "The Tiando League doesn't belong to me, Yang Dingtian. The Primal Chaos World doesn't belong to me, Yang Dingtian. You, Qin Wanchou, have a lot of shares. Now, I'm saving the Tiando League and saving the Primal Chaos World. As a shareholder, not only are you not helping, but you're also blackmailing me, and framing me. Just like how I'm protecting this family. Not only are you not helping, but you're also dragging me down and poaching me. City Lord Qin. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, as expected, no one can compare to your foresight. The war hasn't started yet. You're making arrangements for the end of the war. I was originally wondering why Qin Wancho was so stupid. You clearly knew that the evil ways were just using you. After they punished the world, they would definitely get rid of you. Why would you still be fooled? Now I know. You're making arrangements now to protect yourself after the war. Qin Wancho's gaze trembled, and he sneered, Yang Dingtian, what are you saying? Why can't I understand? Are you going to treat my good intentions as ill intentions? Don't pretend to be confused. Yang Dingtian said, your so-called first, second, and third conditions are all fake. They're all a cover for the fourth condition. What you want is Duguao. You know her value very well. You know that after the evil ways take over the world, she will become your absolute protective treasure. That's why you want to take her away. Yang Dingtian gave a thumbs up and said, City Lord Qin, Song Shao is too far away from you. He's so short-sighted. He actually sold himself completely for a mere grandmaster breakthrough. You're really amazing. You immediately discovered the most useful and precious thing. You're worthy of being a formidable person in the universe. Instantly, Qin Wancho's expression changed drastically. He thought that Yang Dingtian definitely wouldn't be able to see through his scheme. That's right, what he wanted was Duguao. As for letting Qin Jiaojiao bring Yang Dingtian's son to Qin City, Duguao, who was constantly taking care of the baby, would naturally follow. Qin Wancho was so treacherous. He didn't say anything about Duguao, but all his targets were on her. For this, he didn't hesitate to offer half of the Devil Dragon army in order to infuriate Yang Dingtian and make him lose his mind. It was also for the sake of bargaining. When the time came, he would generously erase the third path and completely get his way. I prostrate myself in admiration of your schemes, but I despise your character and magnanimity to the extreme, Yang Dingtian sneered and said, Dugu Shao, as one of the leaders of the evil ways, still has a conscience. He clearly knows Duguao value, but he still gave her to me. Because he couldn't betray the evil ways, he had no choice. But in his heart, he was still willing to support me and wasn't willing to let his daughter be involved in the evil ways. You, Qin Wancho, as one of the overlords of the Tiando League, you had plenty of choices. But you chose evil and chose to side with the enemy. The way you conduct yourself is truly despicable. You're really worse than Song Shao. He's only greedy and stupid, but you're completely despicable and shameless. Qin Wancho, as one of the overlords, had never been scolded by anyone. He had never been scolded like this before, and by a junior at that. I'll kill you. Instantly, his anger soared to the heavens. Whatever schemes, they were all thrown to the back of his mind. His entire person was practically about to explode from anger. He suddenly raised his palm and was about to chop down. Qin Huayu suddenly rushed in front of Yang Dingtian and raised his head to look at his father. The meaning was very clear. If you want to kill Yang Dingtian, you have to kill me, Qin Huayu, first. Qin Huayu, you also want to go against me. You want to completely become enemies with your father for that idiot Yang Dingtian? Qin Wancho roared angrily. That's right. Qin Huayu said indifferently. Instantly, Qin Wancho was completely stunned. He originally thought that Qin Huayu would say something like, I choose to stand on the side of justice. Who knew that he would only say indifferently, that's right. This sentence was very indifferent, but it was like a sharp sword piercing his heart. His own son actually so indifferently made a choice in front of his father and an outsider. What kind of failure did that mean for him as a father? Yang Dingtian gently pulled Qin Huayu away and said, Don't worry, Qin Wancho won't dare to kill me. This is really a huge irony. My greatest enemy has become my protective talisman, causing no one to dare to kill me. City Lord Qin, I don't agree to your conditions. I'll take my leave then, Yang Dingtian said indifferently, then turned and was about to leave. After walking a few meters, Qin Wancho suddenly said angrily, Yang Dingtian, do you think I didn't think of standing on your side? Otherwise, why would I let Qin Huayu follow you? Why would I betroth Qin Zhaojiao to you as a concubine? Following that, Qin Wanchou said in a trembling voice, it's your hidden sect. Your Tiando League is completely hopeless, leaving me with no other choice. Nihility Piao Ling is finished and has become the Devil Queen. Dongfang Bingling is finished and has become Mu Dan. The hidden sect's master was actually handed over to such a weak child like you. The only grandmaster by your side, Ling Qingchen, even died at the hands of Dongfang Bingling. The Tiando League is already over. You, a little child, want to save the world? Ridiculous? The Tiando League is over, leaving me with no other choice. Yang Dingtian turned and said, of course you have a choice, even if we have no hope of winning. It's easy to choose between dying standing and living kneeling. Your son and even your daughter, Qin Zhaojiao, know how to choose. It's just that you don't want to choose. Moreover, will I lose for sure? Not necessarily. You'll lose for sure, you'll die for sure. Cloud Heaven City is finished. Qin Wanchou said coldly, you have no hope. Don't think that you have the Devil Dragon army and look impressive. It's useless. Alright then, we'll talk about it when we're finished, Yang Dingtian said. Then, he and Qin Huayu continued to leave. Huayu. Suddenly, Qin Wanchou shouted from behind. He had never heard this voice before and it was even slightly trembling. Qin Huayu stood still. Qin Qiqi isn't my daughter at all. She's always been sent by the other side to hide by my side. She's just a pair of eyes. Therefore, you've always been my only successor. My previous attitude was to train you and also because I had no choice. Qin Wanchou said softly, come back to father's side. I promise you that as long as you come back to my side, I'll draw a clear line between you and Yang Dingtian. I'll speak for Yang Dingtian at the Tiando League meeting. Moreover, in the war against Cloud Heaven City, I won't send out a real army. Come back, my son. Qin Huayu had never seen Qin Wanchou like this before. He spoke so gently and even seemed a little weak. His father had always been extremely strict and overbearing. His mind was as deep as the sea and he was awe-inspiring without being angry. Qin Huayu still stood still. Immediately after, Qin Wanchou's voice became incomparably cold as he said, Qin Huayu, Yang Dingtian is dead for sure. The only reason he hasn't died yet is because others haven't finished with him yet. They still can't bear to eat him up. However, he's dead for sure and the Tiando League is doomed. Every man for himself, and the heavens take the hindmost. Qin Huayu still didn't move. Qin Wanchou's voice suddenly became even colder and more emotionless as he said, however, if you, Qin Huayu, don't return to my side, then at the Tiando League meeting, I don't mind killing him. In the war 1 month later, my Qin city will send out 100,000, 200,000 elites to completely destroy Cloud Heaven City. Not a single person, a blade of grass, or a tree will be left. Qin Huayu, Yang Dingtian, make your choice. Qin Wanchou finally said. Qin Huayu's entire body trembled violently, but he quickly calmed down. He turned around and bowed deeply to Qin Wanchou, saying, Father, take care. Then, he left with Yang Dingtian. Qin Wanchou slumped into his chair, as if he had aged 10 years in an instant. Wasn't this choice very, very difficult to make? Why didn't Qin Huayu hesitate at all? Yang Dingtian led the army back to Cloud Heaven City. What should we do? Qin Huayu and Yang Dingtian rode side by side and said, what should we do next? Should we go to the Yinyang School, or the Vulture Palace? They both have a veto vote in their hands. Vulture Palace, Yang Dingtian said, in order to revive my master, we must go to the Vulture Palace. However, before we go to the Vulture Palace, we must do 2 things. What are they? Qin Huayu asked. First, send the Yang Dingtian Declaration to the hands of every power in the world. No matter how big or small, every power must receive it. Don't care if they ridicule us or not. It's even better if they ridicule us. We can let this declaration spread throughout the world as quickly as possible. We must spread it throughout the world before the Tiando League meeting, Yang Dingtian said. Yes. Qin Huayu said. Second, I will pretend to go to the Yinyang school to ask for support. Then, we will use the fastest speed and the most secretive method to go to the Autumn Water Sword sect. We will exterminate the Autumn Water Sword sect completely. This way, Yang Dingtian's declaration will have weight in an instant. Yang Dingtian said. Yes. Qin Huayu said. Then, he said in a low voice, however, this will completely enrage my father. It may cause him to take revenge crazily. After all, the Autumn Water Sword sect is under the protection of the Northwest Qin city. Your father has already been enraged. Yang Dingtian sighed and said, moreover, he is too smart. Even if he is enraged, he will still give the most rational response. Then, Yang Dingtian said, I heard that Qiu Ruhan isn't your and Jiaojiao's biological mother? Qin Huayu nodded and said, yes. Our mother passed away not long after giving birth to the two of us. Qiu Ruhan can't have children. No wonder Qiu Ruhan looked very young. She didn't look like someone who had a 30-year-old son. Not your biological mother. That's good. Yang Dingtian said indifferently. Suddenly, Qin Huayu's body couldn't help but tremble slightly. Chapter 442. Following that, Yang Dingtian led the tens of thousands of people back to Cloud Sky City. They did not encounter any more obstacles. However, the deserted situation they encountered was even more serious than a few days ago. When they passed by a few days ago, although none of the important figures in Qin City's territory appeared, at least some of them did. Some even nodded in front of the group. This time, Yang Dingtian's group did not encounter any figures. Even if they were a few thousand meters away, when they saw the silhouettes of Yang Dingtian's group, they all ran away. However, of course, no one came to block Yang Dingtian's path because everyone was afraid of death. Just like that, Yang Dingtian led more than 10,000 people and continued to walk for almost 2 days before finally returning to Cloud Sky City's territory. In just a few days, the traces of war in Cloud Sky City's territory became even more intense. At this time, in the entire territory of Cloud Sky City, all the opponents had been completely wiped out and uprooted. Every inch of land directly belonged to Cloud Sky City. Therefore, the Elders Guild of Cloud Sky City could use every corner of the 1,000-mile territory as a battlefield. At least, within 200 miles of Cloud Sky City, it had been completely transformed into a battlefield. In just a few days, countless small castles had been built. Although these small castles were simple and crude, they were very sturdy. Between the castles, there were many lines of defense. Traps were everywhere. Of course, just relying on the manpower of Cloud Sky City was not enough. Therefore, Cloud Sky City strengthened the walls and cleared the fields. Almost all the young and strong people in the territory were gathered together to carry out crazy battlefield construction. Therefore, within 200 miles of Cloud Sky City, there were hundreds of thousands of people gathered. Among them, just the army alone was about 80 to 90,000 people, close to 100,000 people. That's right, even Cloud Sky City had 100,000 soldiers. In the past, the 3,000 Black Blood Cavalry was Cloud Sky City's largest military force. All of Cloud Sky City's armed forces added together would not exceed Ivan's. As for the remaining military forces, Cloud Sky City did not have the authority to directly command them. This time, Yang Dingtian directly wiped out all the rebels. Tang Boizhao's performance did not exceed Yang Dingtian's expectations. On the contrary, he was more active and outstanding than expected. That day, Yang Dingtian ordered him to stay and wait for Shimenlai to organize the rebel army. Then, before Shimenlai arrived, the 30,000 rebels had already been reorganized. Once Shimenlai arrived, the 30,000 rebels were organized and quickly managed themselves. Then, they followed Shimenlai back to Cloud Sky City. Therefore, Shimen couldn't help but marvel at Tang Boxiao's talent and methods. Tang Boxiao's ability was far inferior to Yu Yu's. Next, he brought a few thousand elites selected from the rebel army and took the initiative to invite Zhao Liao to be the commander. Then, he added a portion of the Black Blood Cavalry. He led this army and practically swept through the 1,000 miles of Cloud Sky City's territory. There were three main things that he had done. The first thing was to completely uproot the rebellious dukes and kill them all. The second thing was to completely surrender the remaining armed forces of the feudal lords. The few that were still stubbornly resisting were all killed. The third thing was to use a relatively high amount of money to attract all the workers within 1,000 miles of Cloud Sky City's territory to Cloud Sky City to participate in the construction of the battlefield. Tang Boxiao had only been in charge of this matter for a few days. At this time, he was still leading the army outside to do these three things. Therefore, there were still troops and manpower that continuously entered the central area of Cloud Sky City. Therefore, after sweeping through all the rebels, the overall power of Cloud Sky City instantly increased by several times. The military power had increased by 3 to 5 times. The construction power had increased by more than 10 times. When the people of Cloud Sky City saw that Yang Dingtian had returned with a huge army behind him, everyone immediately cheered loudly. Wherever Yang Dingtian passed, the people on both sides of the road knelt down one by one like the wind blowing through wheat fields. Then, everyone was whispering excitedly to each other. "Oh my God, where did City Lord Yang find this army? It looks very powerful. Oh my God, what exactly is such a huge beast? It's as big as 2 horses. I wonder how powerful it will be when it fights. What do you know? This is called the Demonic Dragon Cavalry. This is the most elite army of the world society. It's the world's #1 cavalry army on land. It's the overlord of the land. 1,000 people is equivalent to tens of thousands of people. Really? I can't see the end of this black mass. I'm afraid there are at least 20 to 30,000 of them. No, the world society has less than 10,000 in total. Our city lord brought at least 4 to 5,000 of them. It seems that the world society is determined to support us and has handed over all their assets. That proves that the world society thinks highly of our city lord and thinks that we will win. That's why they are completely on our side. Of course. Look at how many big powers are on our side. Qin Chichi is just a rebel from the northwest Qin city. Oh right, I heard that after this war, we will be distributing the land. The city lord eliminated all those rebels and obtained a lot of land. I heard that they will all be given to us. Yes, yes. The more merits we have, the more we will get. Everyone, work hard. I can't wait for those bastards to hurry up and fight so that I can earn merits. This voice continuously entered Yang Dingtian's ears. Shimen Lai, who came to accompany him, said, after Tang Boxiao returned to Cloud Sky City, he wrote a plan to improve the people's morale. To put it bluntly, it was brainwashing. After Madame and Elder Mu Lianqing read it, they both agreed and praised it. Then, Elder Mu organized a team of over 1,000 people. After Tang Boxiao's short training, they blended into the crowd and did a lot of brainwashing. I originally didn't care about it, but I didn't expect the results to be so good. This Tang Boxiao is really a talent. Yes, he is really a talent. Yang Dingtian said, unfortunately, he is extremely smart. It is very difficult to make him completely loyal to someone. When the Devil Dragon Cavalry entered Cloud Sky City, it immediately caused a huge commotion. Cloud Sky City's morale instantly reached its peak. Firstly, they felt that such a big power like the world society was truly standing on Cloud Sky City's side. Of course, it was more because of the Devil Dragon Cavalry's combat power. They were different from the ordinary citizens. Cloud Sky City's disciples had heard of the Devil Dragon Cavalry, the overlord of the continent. With this cavalry, even if they faced an army of 100,000, they would be in an invincible position. Moreover, Cloud Sky City now had 100,000 soldiers. After returning to Cloud Sky City, Yang Dingtian didn't even have time to look at his baby, let alone be intimate with Yen Yen. He immediately gave an order. Within Cloud Sky City, all the officers of over 1,000 people came to the main hall for a meeting. It was the first meeting of a few hundred people in Cloud Sky City and also the first meeting before the war. In the meeting, the first thing to happen was the Battle of Heaven Wave City. After hearing that 1,000 Devil Dragon cavalry wiped out the Autumn Water Sword sect's army of 20,000 and built a temple, the hundreds of officers present cheered in disbelief. Their morale instantly soared. Next, Yang Dingtian made an announcement about the enemy's situation. He didn't explain it in detail. Regarding the Temple of Annihilation, he had to reveal it bit by bit. He couldn't say it all at once, otherwise, it would have a huge impact on the ordinary people. Of course, this included Yang Dingtian's identity as the hidden sect master. He had to announce it to outsiders. However, to the citizens of Cloud Sky City, he had to reveal it bit by bit. He had to guide them with mystery so that they could imagine, guess, and expose it themselves. This was because Yang Dingtian's current strength was still too weak. He wasn't worthy of the identity of the hidden sect master. Therefore, it was better to let them guess the result than to say it himself. Therefore, Yang Dingtian described the enemy that was about to invade. The Northwest Qin City's evil faction led by Qin Chichi and the South Sea's Ning clan, White Cloud City, Autumn Water Sword sect, and Sky Phoenix Pavilion's rebel forces led a mixed force. This was because Sky Phoenix Pavilion's Ling Yanmei killed her master and stole the position of Sky Phoenix Pavilion master. In turn, she stole the position of Tiando League's Northwest Branch Master. Therefore, under the guise of the Tiando League, they formed an alliance army to attack Cloud Sky City. Then, they pointed out that the South Sea's Ning clan, Ning Wuming, was a lackey of the evil ways. In the end, it was confirmed that this enemy was infiltrated by the evil ways. The Tiando League's forces were the main force and the South Sea's Ning clan's forces were the auxiliary force. They couldn't directly say that this was an army of evil ways. That would cause morale to plummet. Only when they truly defeated the first army of evil ways could they directly say that this was an army of the Temple of Annihilation. At that time, people wouldn't be afraid. If they said it now, the name of the Temple of Annihilation would cause everyone to be afraid. Finally, Yang Dingtian officially announced the most important Yang Dingtian's declaration. Actually, this was the most important part. In the following period of time, this declaration had to be completely engraved in the hearts of everyone in Cloud Sky City. After countless preaching, this declaration had to become a part of them. This way, they would clearly know that they were on the side of the righteous. Perhaps this declaration was a little empty the first time they heard it, but when it was repeated 1,000 times, 10,000 times, it would become the truth. Of course, for ordinary people without ideals, they would be attracted by the victory after the war and the distribution of land. Therefore, they were currently divided into two directions to gather the people's hearts and morale. One was the spiritual Yang Dingtian's declaration. The other was the distribution of land after the war. It was believed that it wouldn't be difficult to gather the people's hearts and morale in just a month. Next, whether they could maintain it or not would depend on the outcome of the war. If they lost, everything would be over. If they won, morale and the people's hearts would gather again and rise again. Of course, at the same time, there was also a large amount of money and a large amount of food. The distribution of resources in this world was extremely unbalanced. Although Yang Dingtian didn't purposely try to be extravagant, a meal that he inadvertently ate was enough to support an ordinary person for a few years. A piece of clothing that he wore was enough to support a few hundred ordinary soldiers for more than a year. Yang Dingtian had carefully understood the chaotic world. In terms of system, this should be a combination of a slave society and a feudal society. Most people were old slave. They had no property and were slaves for life. They were always working, but they couldn't get anything. They could only be given the worst food to survive. There were no landlords here, nor were there any farmers. All the land, minerals, and forests belonged to the Lord. The Lord was enfeoffed by the Lord, and the Lord would pay tribute to the Lord, follow the Lord's diplomatic direction, and fight for the Lord when necessary. As for the true mainstream of this world, there was no doubt that it was warriors. There were two types of warriors. The first type was soldiers. These people all cultivated shallow cultivation techniques that were suitable for group combat. These people were only slightly better than slaves. They could have military pay, but they were also living at the bottom. The other type was, of course, absolutely above the average person. This was most of the cultivators, such as all the disciples in Cloud Sky City. These people had almost everything. There was no need to mention a large amount of living resources, a large amount of money, a large amount of cultivation resources, and the best houses. They could freely walk the world and kill slaves and low-level soldiers. Everything that the scholars of ancient China enjoyed, these cultivators had all of it. Therefore, cultivation had become the most mainstream in the entire chaotic world. And the current Yang Ding Tian could be considered to be subverting this point secretly. Cloud Sky City didn't have much money, but Qin Mingli was rich. In the past few months, she had been transferring her assets almost crazily. An astronomical amount of money, an astronomical amount of weapons, and an astronomical amount of resources entered Cloud Sky City through various channels. However, this transfer stopped completely after Qin Chichi defeated Sky Phoenix Pavilion. Therefore, Yang Ding Tian had started to be concerned about Qin Mingli's safety. However, Qin Wanchou doted on his sister so much. At most, he would just put her under house arrest. With Qin Mingli's astronomical amount of money and resources, Cloud Sky City could easily support hundreds of thousands of people. Therefore, when a large amount of meat was distributed to them, most of the slaves abandoned everything in their minds and wanted to stay in Cloud Sky City. When Cloud Sky City announced that they would be distributing a large amount of land after the war, everyone went crazy and wanted to serve Yang Ding Tian with their lives. Of course, the so-called distribution of land didn't mean that they would directly give the land to the slaves. Instead, they would let them plant and 50% of the land would be handed over to Cloud Sky City. Once this rumor was released, the effect was shocking. It was like a storm that engulfed hundreds of thousands of people. In an instant, the efficiency of hundreds of thousands of people increased by 1-fold. As for the army that gathered in Cloud Sky City, it was even simpler. They would directly give out 5 times the army's salary and pay, which would last for half a year. Then, they would announce that those who performed meritorious deeds could choose to marry a free woman in the territory and would be given double the amount of land as compared to ordinary people. They would only have to hand over 30% of the harvest to Cloud Sky City. Moreover, regardless of whether they were injured or retired, those who performed meritorious deeds could be directly appointed as an official in the territory and manage all the free people in the territory. If they died in battle, their parents would receive 3 years of military salary and 5 times the amount of land as compared to ordinary people. Once these policies were announced, Cloud Sky City's army of close to 100,000 went into the craziest state. Their morale was at the peak. Next, the slightly tired surrendered army immediately entered the craziest training. Then, Mu Liansheng's men immediately entered and officially promoted Yang Dingtian's image. All of Yang Dingtian's deeds, all of his miracles in battle, all of his miracles in cultivation, and his talent that was close to that of a celestial being. They were all organized into carts and distributed to everyone. Tang Boizhao's brainwashing team brainwashed all the soldiers and warriors day and night. They directly praised Yang Ding Tian as a person who had never appeared before in history and was close to a god. Even though this brainwashing only lasted for a few days. But in this world, the soldiers who had never been brainwashed instantly accepted this point. When they talked about Yang Ding Tian, they already had the appearance of a god. Therefore, in less than 10 days, Cloud Sky City's war machine could actually operate to such an extent. This made Yang Ding Tian extremely astonished. Of course, this was just like the use of antibiotics. In the beginning, there wasn't any resistance to antibiotics. Antibiotics were godly medicines that could directly cure the disease. And right now, the hundreds of thousands of soldiers in Cloud Sky City were the type that didn't have any resistance to antibiotics. Moreover, they were the poorest and most lowly of them all. Shiman Wuya was a man of great talent and bold vision, but he never thought of changing this point. Therefore, under the stimulation of money, material, spirit, and the prospect of the future, the effects were immediate. Of course, before Yang Dingtian's arrival, the so-called freedom policies and military policies were only passed down verbally and didn't form into a written program. When Mu Liancheng reported the details to Yang Dingtian immediately made the decision and said, "Turn all the policies into words and make it into a program. Paste it to every corner of Cloud Heaven City and spread it to everyone's ears and heart." "Yes," Mu Liancheng replied. At this moment, Song Lihua suddenly spoke, "Uncle Mu, I heard that there is a small booklet circulating in the military regarding City Lord Yang Dingtian's deeds." "Yes, Lady Song," Mu Liancheng said, "this booklet was written by Tang Buizhao overnight. Although the words are a little sensational and exaggerated, it is basically the truth." Song Lihua smiled and said, "Next, we can add some things to the booklet. Especially regarding City Lord Yang Dingtian's identity. Cloud Sky City Lord, Yinyang School's successor, and also vaguely point out his identity as the hidden sect patriarch. We don't have to be too clear. We just have to mention that City Lord Yang Dingtian possesses sect patriarch Su Piaoling's crystal sword and used it to convince World Association patriarch Song Shao. Furthermore, City Lord Yang Dingtian knows lightning attributed mystic skills and has the whirling calamity crossing sword. It vaguely points out his relationship with the hidden sect's young master, Su Wuming. I believe that with Uncle Mu's talent, you should know how to write it. Lady Song is wise," Mu Liancheng said. Following which, Song Lihua said to Yang Dingtian, "Sect patriarch, my martial arts cultivation is weak. Why don't you let me learn from Uncle Mu on how to handle internal affairs and contribute to Cloud Sky City?" Mu Liancheng quickly said, "This old slave is willing to assist Lady Song in handling internal affairs." "No, you are still the leader." Yang Dingtian said, "Let Lady Lihua and Tang Buizhao assist you." At this moment, Tang Buizhao's sobbing voice could be heard from outside. "Your humble servant, Tang Buizhao, pays his respects to the great Cloud Sky City Lord." When Tang Buizhao heard that Yang Dingtian had returned to Cloud Sky City, he immediately used his fastest speed to rush back. Even though Yang Dingtian couldn't see him, he still used the most exaggerated posture to rush in and slid a few steps forward. "Come in," Yang Dingtian said. Then, Tang Buizhao didn't stand up and crawled in on his knees. When he entered, he prostrated himself on the ground and didn't dare to raise his head. He was extremely respectful and humble. His clothes were messy, his hair was messy, and his face was haggard. It could be seen that he hadn't slept or rested for the past few days as he rushed to Cloud Sky City's 1,000-mile territory to eliminate the roots, brainwash, and scorched earth. It was a huge waste for this person to live in this chaotic world. He had the greatest talent of treacherous officials in ancient China. "Tang Buizhao, come in with me." Yang Dingtian then walked into the side hall. After Tang Buizhao crawled in, Yang Dingtian closed the door. There were only the two of them in the side hall. Instantly, Tang Buizhao's body began to tremble slightly. He had been performing crazily for the past few days, desperately displaying all his talents just to preserve his life. Now, at the final moment, he still couldn't suppress the uneasiness in his heart. Yang Dingtian killed him like a pig or a dog. "Tang Buizhao, I heard that you're secretly hiding an illegitimate son," Yang Dingtian said. Instantly, Tang Buizhao's expression changed. He was happy at first as he knew that his life was saved. Then, his expression darkened slightly. He had castrated himself and his son was his only hope. "Yes, I still have a son. I'll have someone send him to Cloud Sky City to serve the nobles," Tang Buizhao said. He immediately decided to use the illegitimate son as a hostage to show his determination. "That's not what I meant," Yang Dingtian said lightly. Then, Yang Dingtian fell into silence as he thought about how to start the conversation. "First, let me tell you that I didn't touch your wife," Yang Dingtian said. Instantly, Tang Buizhao trembled and pressed his body even harder against the ground. Secondly, you should have heard of my identity as the leader of the hidden sect. That's right, it's true. I'm the leader of the hidden sect, Su Wuming, Yang Dingtian said. With your intelligence, you should know that I'm not lying. But I still have a secret that I have to tell you. The original leader of the hidden sect was Dongfang Bingling, but she demonized and became the princess of the evil ways, Mu Dan. So, I only have the title of the leader of the hidden sect. Our power is still very weak. Compared to the evil ways, it's completely one-sided. After hearing Yang Dingtian's words, Tang Buizhao's body trembled violently and he looked at Yang Dingtian in disbelief. This was an absolute secret. Why would Yang Dingtian tell him? He was just a lowly dog now. Moreover, he had already betrayed Yang Dingtian twice. Then, you must be very curious as to why I'm telling you such a secret. Yang Dingtian said, because I see your talent. A top-notch warrior, even if he reaches the Grandmaster level, is only a match for 1,000 or 10,000 people. But your talent is a match for 100,000 people, or even 1,000,000 people. You have the dragon-slaying technique. Of course, no one in this world will reward your talent, including City Lord Shimen. Because this is a world where martial arts is respected. Your martial arts cultivation has come to an end, but your other career has only just begun. Others don't appreciate your talent, but I'm willing to. Lastly, I don't know what the future will be like. If we lose this battle, then everything will be over. If we win this battle, then I can tell you that your achievements will be as great as my future career. If one day, I rule the entire world, then perhaps you will become my right-hand man. You don't need to use any martial arts. You only need to use your brain and you will be able to surpass Qin Wancho's position. You will be above hundreds of millions of people and have the power to rule the world. Even if it's just an order, who knows how many Grandmaster-level warriors will die for you? Yang Dingtian said indifferently, if we win this battle with the evil ways, I want to build a new world. A world of construction and power, a world that will completely cleanse the martial arts civilization. If you are willing, your role in this world is indispensable. Of course, if you are not willing, it's fine. After the battle with Qin Chichi, if we win, I will kill you. If we lose, I will let you go. Of course, no one in this world will really appreciate your talent, except for me. Yang Dingtian stretched out his hand and said, are you willing to follow me? Tang Buizhao didn't flatter him, nor did he have any reaction. He directly collapsed on the ground and didn't move. Yang Dingtian's words were like thunder, instantly destroying all the pretense and cunning in his mind. It directly pierced the depths of his heart. It was even like a bright lamp, completely pointing out the direction of Tang Buizhao's future. It made him lose all his reaction in an instant. He only felt that his whole body was trembling, hot, and numb. Chapter 443. There's still one more, so Tang Buizhao lay on the ground, desperately trying to open his mouth to speak. However, he realized that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't make himself say a single word. The muscles in his mouth and even the muscles in his entire body were stiff. It was as if there was a gust of air in his entire body that was about to explode. Seeing this, Yang Dingtian gently patted his shoulder and said, everyone says that you're cunning, but I realize that you're actually a pure idealist. You just like to use your cleverness to fool others and fool yourself, pretending to be lowly. Yang Dingtian's words seemed to have activated Tang Buizhao. Then, he lay on the ground and cried loudly without saying anything. Yang Dingtian's last sentence deeply provoked him. Then, countless images flashed through his mind. When the previous city lord, Yang Lai, was in power, he excitedly showed off his talent. In the end, he was completely ignored and looked down on. In Yang Lai's mind, there was only martial power. Martial power. Therefore, even though his relationship with Shimen Wuya wasn't good, he was very jealous of Shimen Wuya. However, when Shimen Wuya became the city lord, he still felt excited. He felt that his chance had come. Shimen Wuya was so talented, so he would definitely recognize his talent. That's right, Shimin Wuya immediately recognized his talent. However, the result was an even deeper suppression. Tang Buizhao's position in Cloud Sky City directly fell into a quagmire. At first, he thought that Shimin Wuya was jealous of his talent, but later on, he understood. Shimin Wuya couldn't execute his plan for now. In his current situation, he was destined to use martial power to restore Cloud Sky City's territory. Once Tang Buizhao executed his plan, he would first become a public enemy and directly provoke the neighboring Northwest Qin city. Shimin Wuya was a man of great talent, but given his position, it was destined that his goal would be to strengthen the martial arts of Cloud Sky City. He would defeat the Yin Yang sect in a martial arts competition and allow Cloud Sky City to obtain a position that was worthy of his position. To put it more bluntly, Shimin Wuya wanted to use martial power to force Yin Yang School to acknowledge Cloud Sky City's existence and form a brotherhood. Then, Cloud Sky City would enter the 9 sects of the world. This was Shimin Wuya's lifelong strategy. This strategy decided that even though Shimin Wuya saw Tang Buizhao's talent, he couldn't use him. Instead, he had to suppress him. No matter how strong Shimin Wuya was, he didn't have the courage to break this environment. Then, Tang Buizhao's SS and Yangs and Yangs and Yangs and Yangs and Yangs to resist Shimin Wuya. Over time, Tang Buizhao couldn't bear the pressure and turned himself into a clown. Firstly, it was to save his life. Secondly, it was still to mock him. Every time he knelt in front of Yang Dingtian, he felt like he was fooling Yang Dingtian and toying with Yang Dingtian in the palm of his hand. He had betrayed Yin Yang twice and survived both times. He really enjoyed this kind of intellectual competition. But at this moment, Yang Dingtian had broken his highest ideal and illuminated the direction he was going to take. He was originally at a loss, a walking corpse with nothing to do. Perhaps he was just fooling Yin Yang. He didn't even leave Cloud Sky City because he wanted to see how miserable Yang Dingtian would be in the upcoming battle. But now, he only felt that his ideals from 20 to 30 years ago had returned. His strong mental support had returned. That's right. He, Tang Buizhao, was a pure idealist. Once an idealist found a direction to fight for, he would definitely not be afraid of death. So, Tang Buizhao only cried loudly. He didn't say anything and didn't say anything about pledging his loyalty. But Yang Dingtian could already feel everything clearly. Calm down inside for a while. I'll go out and continue the meeting. After you calm down, go out and find a place to sit down. We'll discuss this together, Yang Dingtian said. Then, he walked out of the main hall. At this moment, in the main hall, other than the members of Cloud Sky City's Elders Guild, there were also Zhu Hongxue, Song Lihua, Qin Huayu, and Vulture. It could be said that they were Yang Dingtian's most trusted forces. Wait, there would be a place for Tang Buizhao. Therefore, Yang Dingtian was definitely not a mature leader. For someone like Tang Buizhao, he had a position all of a sudden. Any mature leader wouldn't do this. Of course, just like any mature leader, they would not risk their lives for the sake of their subordinates. But Yang Dingtian had made these mistakes before. So, he became a very special leader. Even Zhu Hongxue himself felt that it was strange. How did he unknowingly stand by Yang Dingtian's side? Then, even more unknowingly, he admitted his identity as a leader. I, Zhu Hongxue, am such a proud and arrogant person. But in terms of accepting this matter, he didn't seem to have any obstacles. Now, Yang Dingtian took a risk again and used Tang Buizhao. He used people he doubted to the extreme. Now, I'll give a few more orders. Yang Dingtian said, first, the Tiando League's wartime committee is officially established. Everyone here, including Tang Buizhao, is a member. Second, from tomorrow onwards, completely seal off all the borders of Cloud Sky City. Without the committee's token, no one is allowed to go out or enter. We have to maintain the unity of Cloud Sky City and not be affected by the rumors outside. Third, immediately draft Yang Dingtian's declaration and use the fastest speed to spread it throughout the world. Yes! Everyone shouted in unison. Yang Dingtian continued, next, I'll assign everyone's work scope. Mu Liancheng, Song Lihua, Tang Boizhao. You will be in charge of all internal affairs, propaganda, order, and other matters. Yes. Mu Liancheng and Song Lihua stood up and responded. Tang Boizhao walked out. At this moment, he was like a completely different person. He didn't have the slightest trace of inferiority. His hair was already combed, but he still looked very haggard and his eyes were red. His entire body seemed to be releasing a kind of radiance. His eyes were burning as though they were burning. Moreover, no matter if it was his steps or his posture, they were filled with confidence and calmness. He quickly found the temperament of a military advisor. Shimen Lai, Song Chunhua, you will be in charge of all military forces. Reorganizing, preparing for war, and all other matters. You will be in charge. Yes. Qin Huayu, Zhu Hongxue, you will be in charge of all foreign affairs. You will be in charge of negotiations with other factions. Yes. Qin Huayu responded very resolutely, while Zhu Hongxue responded vaguely. Of course, Yang Dingtian mainly let Qin Huayu handle this matter. As for Zhu Hongxue, he would be treated as an incomparably noble mascot to give other factions a sense of oppression. Jiao Liao, you will immediately form a scouting and intelligence team. Monitor the enemy's every move. Yang Dingtian said. Yes. Jiao Liao replied. When the little Princess Vulture heard that Yang Dingtian was assigning tasks to others without mentioning her name, she immediately asked, "What about me? What about me? What should I do?" Yang Dingtian said, "You will follow me to the Vulture Palace. As for how to get your great-grandfather to our side, it will be up to you." The little lass immediately patted her chest and said, "Don't worry, you can count on me. That old man is getting more muddle-headed and doting the older he gets. If I ask him to go east, he won't dare to go west. Even if he doesn't agree, he will cry, throw a tantrum, and threaten to hang himself. I have plenty of ways to deal with him." Instantly, Yang Dingtian was speechless. The solemn atmosphere was completely destroyed by her. And look at what she said. Was this something a granddaughter should say? What did she mean by getting more muddle-headed with age? What did she mean by asking him to go east and not go west? However, it could be seen that this little lass's status in the Vulture Palace was extremely influential. However, this little lass was indeed very important. It could be said that she was the most important. Resurrecting his master, Dongfang Minmi, and the veto vote for the Tiando League meeting were all on her head. However, Yang Dingtian felt that he should ignore her. Otherwise, she would immediately take advantage of him. In the end, Yang Dingtian's gaze landed on Mrs. Shimen and said, "Next, I will pretend to go to the Yinyang school to ask for help. In fact, I will go to the Vulture Palace. During my absence, all matters will be handled by my mother-in-law, Yang Peipei." Mrs. Shimen blushed. She wanted to refuse, but she knew that she couldn't. "Yes." Mrs. Shimen said. Mrs. Shimen, Yang Peipei, other than her beauty, willpower, morals, and kindness, her other talents were average, especially her talent as a leader. Therefore, when Shimen Wuya was around, she didn't care about anything. Yang Dingtian let her take charge of everything because her identity and seniority were enough to control everyone present. When Yang Dingtian wasn't around, she was the natural leader. Letting her take charge of everything meant that she didn't have to care about anything. Yang Dingtian finally said, "In terms of specific matters, my talent is average. Whether it is training soldiers, internal affairs, or war, my talent is all average. Therefore, I will leave everything to all of you. Everything we've done is for the upcoming war. This is our first battle against the evil ways. We can only win, we can't lose. Once we lose, all the forces in the Tiando League will change sides. Once we lose, it means that the entire primal chaos world will fall. That way, we will create history." Before the World Extermination Army set foot on the primal chaos world, the Demon King's shadow hasn't appeared, and even the nefarious demon prince and nefarious demon princess haven't made a move, the entire primal chaos world will fall. That will be a great humiliation. In short, everything is for the great battle, everything is for the Tyando League, everything is for the primal chaos world. We can only win, we can't lose. Yes! Everyone shouted in unison. That's all I want to say. Yang Dingtian said, next, what matters do you all have to attend to? The first to stand up was Tang Buizhou. My lord, approximately when will you leave Cloud Sky City? Tang Buizhou asked. I should be leaving tomorrow. Yang Dingtian said, we will secretly infiltrate the Autumn Water Sword sect. Then, when Yang Dingtian's declaration spreads throughout the world, we will directly attack and destroy the Autumn Water Sword sect. We will kill them all and dye Yang Dingtian's declaration red with the first blood. Yes. Tang Buizhou said, however, if the sect master is not in a hurry for this day, I would like to ask the sect master to stay in Cloud Sky City for a day. Then, gather all the soldiers and civilians together and convene a meeting of 10,000 people. You will personally announce Yang Dingtian's declaration, as well as the freedmen's policy, the military policy, and the land policy in front of everyone. Yang Dingtian was very clear about Tang Buizhou's painstaking efforts. Whether it was Yang Dingtian's declaration, the freedmen's policy, the land policy, or the military policy. All of them were shocking and subversive. It would gather the hearts of thousands of people and completely subvert the current order of this world. For such a major event, other than Yang Dingtian, it would be inappropriate for anyone else to announce it. Alright, you all go and prepare. Choose the military and civilian representatives and gather at Cloud Sky City's plaza. Strive to convene a meeting of 10,000 people in the shortest time possible. Yang Dingtian said. Yes. Tang Buizhou and the others replied. Following this, Tang Buizhou, who hadn't slept for a few days, didn't even have time to eat or drink tea. He immediately immersed himself in work. He used his fastest speed to draw out everyone's name list. Then, he used his fastest speed to understand the most suitable military and civilian representatives. He used his fastest speed to decide on this list of 10,000 people. All this work took 10 hours from start to finish. It was mainly done by Mu Liansheng, Tang Buizhou, and Song Lihua, who led hundreds of clerks from the Internal Affairs Pavilion to complete this arduous task. After the name list and the specific locations of these people were listed out, they were immediately divided into groups and sent to the fastest Devil Dragon army. They sent out 500 Devil Dragon warriors and used their fastest speed to inform the people on the name list. Then, they were organized to gather at Cloud Sky City's plaza and convene a meeting of 10,000 people. The next evening, the meeting of 10,000 people was officially held at Cloud Sky City's plaza. The progress of all the work was much faster than Yang Dingtian had imagined. In this era where there were no telephones or telegrams, within a few hundred miles, it only took less than a day to gather 10,000 people for a meeting. It could be seen that Yang Dingtian's team's ability to organize was astonishing. Qin Huayu said that the Northwest Qin City's ability in this aspect was unrivaled, but they definitely couldn't do it better than Cloud Sky City. In Cloud Sky City's huge plaza, there were a total of 10,000 people sitting neatly. 80% of them were ordinary citizens. 20% were from the military. Cloud Sky City had experienced such a huge scene many times. Yang Dingtian's first martial arts competition, the second martial arts competition with Qin Xiaobai, and the third martial arts competition with the Cloud Sky City Lord. The scene was bigger and bigger each time. But every time, it was a martial arts competition. But today, it was incomparably sacred and solemn. In the previous martial arts competitions, no matter how deeply they felt about Yang Dingtian, they could only stand and watch the show. But today, it was completely related to their fate. For the first time, they had truly become participants in this major event, not bystanders. There was no platform, no arrangement. On the high platform, Yang Dingtian was dressed in military attire. Without any opening remarks or any heroic words, he directly announced the various policies. First, free people make decisions. From today onwards, there will no longer be any slaves in my Cloud Sky City territory. Everyone will be free people. Everyone will legally own their own property and their own freedom. Just the first policy had completely caused a commotion, causing an explosive effect. Some people wanted to cheer, but when they saw that Yang Dingtian was going to continue reading, they desperately suppressed the urge to cheer and continued to listen. But the tears in their eyes surged out. From today onwards, they were free. Most of the people in the territory were slaves. But they had seen freedom before. They yearned for it so much that they didn't even dare to dream that they could get rid of their slave status. One had to know that once one became a slave, one would be a slave for generations unless one had very high martial arts talent. But those who had such talent were 1 in 10,000. Second, land policy. From today onwards, all of Cloud Sky City's territory belongs to Cloud Sky City. Within Cloud Sky City, there will no longer be any lords or vassals. All land will be distributed to all free people in the territory according to merit and population. It will mainly be used for farming crops. No matter how much is produced, 50% will be handed over to Cloud Sky City's treasury to maintain the army and other functions. 30% of the crops produced during the idle season will be handed over to Cloud Sky City's treasury. Although the second policy had long been rumored, it had never been officially confirmed. Now, it was finally confirmed. The second policy was shocking and subversive. It was even more powerful than the first one. On Earth, 50% might have been too high. But in the chaotic world, this was almost a subversive move. Because in the chaotic world, slaves couldn't own any property. All of their gains had to be handed over. Then, the higher-ups would give them food that was inferior to pigs and dogs to survive. Third, military policy. From today onwards, all soldiers will first have the status of free people. The minimum military pay will be raised to 5 times the original amount and will be paid monthly. All soldiers' family members will be given at least twice the amount of land as free people according to merit. All soldiers who died in battle will be given 5 times the amount of land and 3 years of military pay will be given to their family members. All soldiers will choose women from free people according to merit and length of service to marry and form families. All soldiers, after retiring, will be given at least twice the amount of land according to merit. Also, soldiers with merit will be given official positions in the territory and be in charge of the production and order of the free people. Yang Dingtian had just finished reading. All the military representatives had tears in their eyes. They clenched their fists and fiercely hit their chests. They wildly chanted in their hearts, "Forever loyal to City Lord Yang Dingtian. Long live City Lord Yang Dingtian." Finally, I will read out Yang Dingtian's declaration. First, let's say justice again. I, Yang Dingtian, lead the Tiando League forces and stand on the side of justice. Qin Chichi, Ning Wuming and the Temple of Annihilation's young master, Li Ming, stand on the side of evil. Everyone has to face the opposing side of justice and evil. No one should think of running away from it. Second, if there are people who are willing to join us, stand on the side of justice and fight against evil ways to the end. They are my life and death brothers. We will live and die together and will never betray each other. Third, if you are afraid of the power of evil ways and do not dare to be enemies, then don't worry about it. You can stand on the side and watch the battle. It won't be too late for you to choose a side after we have a winner or loser. Fourth, if you are blinded by greed or have an even more evil motive and stand firmly on the side of evil ways, stand firmly on the side of Qin Chichi and Ning Wuming, then you are the enemy of human justice. You are the enemy of the Tiando League and you are the enemy of me. Then, no matter how noble your background is, no matter how powerful your forces are, I will kill you all. Today's Autumn Water Sword sect is an example. Now, I announce the Tiando League's first order of extermination. The Autumn Water Sword sect colluded with evil ways, betrayed the Tiando League, betrayed justice, and betrayed the primal chaos world. Here, I officially announce the expulsion of the Autumn Water Sword sect from the Tyando League. Everyone in the Autumn Water Sword sect is to be exterminated. Everyone in the Autumn Water Sword sect is to be exterminated. All forces and people in the world must draw a clear line between themselves and the Autumn Water Sword sect. All martial artists of the Autumn Water Sword sect can leave their forces within a month and draw a clear line between themselves and the Autumn Water Sword sect. Otherwise, when the time comes, they will be killed without mercy. From today onwards, spread this proclamation throughout the world. Yes! Instantly, hundreds of riders shouted. Hundreds of riders rode on fine horses and carried Yang Dingtian's proclamation. They flew out from the west and used their fastest speed to relay this proclamation to all forces in the world. Looking from the sky, hundreds of black dots flew out from Cloud Heaven City and ran in all directions. The meeting of 10,000 people has ended. Yang Dingtian said. In an instant, the citizens who had suppressed their excitement completely boiled over and became clamorous. Long live Yang Dingtian! Long live Cloud Heaven City! Long live Yang Dingtian's proclamation! From today onwards, all of Cloud Heaven City's citizens would stand together with Yang Dingtian and have common interests. Whoever obstructed their interests would be their mortal enemy. Everyone in Cloud Heaven City would fight them to the end. In the entire square of Cloud Heaven City, countless people who had already perked up their ears cheered in unison and boiled over. In a short period of time, the ground within hundreds of miles was completely boiling and shaking. The war machine of Cloud Heaven City spun at an even hotter, faster, and more fervent speed. Nightfall. Yang Dingtian, Qin Huayu, Zhu Hongxue, Song Chunhua, and Vulture rode on the Dark Demon Vulture and flew towards the west, towards the Autumn Water Sword sect. The extermination of the Autumn Water Sword sect had officially begun. The first smear of blood dyed Yang Dingtian's proclamation red. It had officially begun. Chapter 444. Autumn Water Sword Sect. If the powers in this world were viewed as countries, then the Autumn Water Sword sect was the absolute vassal state of the Northwest Qin City. In other words, the Autumn Water Sword sect could be said to be the satellite sect of the Northwest Qin City. The relationship between the two sides could be said to be close for generations. The wives of the Northwest Qin City Lord all came from the Autumn Water Sword sect. Everyone knew that although Qin Wanchou and the previous Northwest Qin City Lord were father and son, their relationship was extremely bad and even like enemies. Therefore, in the beginning, he didn't have the right to inherit the Northwest Qin City Lord position, so he didn't have the right to marry a woman from the Autumn Water Sword sect. In the end, Qin Wanchou became ruthless and killed his father and elder brother. Then, he became the lord of the Northwest Qin City. Moreover, he became the most outstanding lord of his generation in the past few hundred years. He expanded the territory and sphere of influence of the Northwest Qin City by many times. After he succeeded in becoming the city lord, his first wife suddenly passed away. Therefore, the Autumn Water Sword sect's Qiu Ruhan became his new wife and Qin Huayu and Qin Zhaojiao's mother. Why was the Autumn Water Sword sect so important? The reason was very simple. Autumn Water Island was currently the world's largest mining area. The extremely precious magnetic crystals, the even more precious purple crystal ore, the rare image jade, the even rarer yin-yang crystals, all kinds of energy crystals, and so on. Countless minerals were stored on Autumn Water Island at an astronomical figure. As for gold, it had already become the most worthless mineral on Autumn Water Island. What was the use of the magnetic crystals? It wasn't just used to build the mystic qi condensation and purification array. More importantly, it was used to supply the rich and powerful disciples to increase the amount of mystic qi they devoured during cultivation. To put it bluntly, with the magnetic crystals, one's cultivation speed was 3 to 4 times that of ordinary people. Therefore, the demand for the magnetic crystals was extremely high and was completely a strategic material in the chaotic world. How much was it sold for? A few million gold coins. Yes, you didn't hear wrongly. A few million gold coins. However, what was the actual cost? The total cost of excavating and manufacturing a piece of magnetic crystal for the Autumn Water Sword sect was about 200 gold coins. That's right, 200 gold coins. Then, he sold it to the Northwest Qin City for 50,000 gold coins. Then, the Northwest Qin City sold it to the world for a few million gold coins. In the Earth era, a few 100% was already an extremely huge profit. And the profit of a single piece of magnetic crystal was tens of thousands of times the cost. If you think it's expensive, you don't have to buy it. But I'm sorry, I'm the only one selling it in the entire world. I have absolute monopoly. This was because only Autumn Water Island had a large amount of mineral reserves. In Qin City, the number of magnetic crystals sold every year was only several tens of thousands. Every time, he would tell the whole world that there were not many magnetic crystals left and that they could be mined for less than 10 years. Of course, what was the actual situation? The actual situation was that, at this rate, they wouldn't be able to finish mining even in a few hundred years. If he was willing, he could sell the magnetic crystal at a cheap price. However, under the extreme monopoly, its price soared from a cabbage to a sky-high price. Of course, why would the world tolerate the absolute monopoly of the Northwest Qin City? Every year, he would donate tens of thousands of pieces to the Yinyang School and the Black Heaven sect. If these two bosses didn't say anything, the Northwest Qin City wouldn't be afraid of anyone. A single magnetic crystal was enough to make Qin City rich. However, this wasn't Qin City's biggest asset. What was purple crystal ore? That's right, purple crystal coins, a currency that could be used to spend money. Its value was many times that of gold coins. This ore was also produced from Autumn Water Island. That meant that as long as the Northwest Qin City was willing, they could issue an astronomical amount of money. Of course, he wasn't so stupid as to do that. In fact, after he dug out the purple crystal ore, he made a complete purple crystal jade slip and sent it to the Tiando League headquarters to let the Tiando League think that the currency would be issued. Of course, as the only supplier of the purple crystal Oregon. In this so-called Tiando League central bank, he had no less shares than the Black Heaven sect and the Yinyang School. Then, there was no need to talk about anything else. Now, he could clearly understand why the Northwest Qin City was rich and unparalleled in the world. Of course, another problem appeared. Since Autumn Water Island was so important, why didn't Qin City directly destroy the Autumn Water Sword sect and directly control Autumn Water Island? Why did everything have to go through the Autumn Water Sword sect's exploitation? The reason was very simple. Letting the Northwest Qin City monopolize the sale of these strategic materials was already the limit of the Black Heaven sect and the Yinyang School's tolerance. Once the Northwest Qin City destroyed the Autumn Water Sword sect and directly controlled Autumn Water Island, it would directly cross the bottom line of the two sects, and the two sects would directly take action. Therefore, the Northwest Qin City had no choice but to rope in and control the Autumn Water Sword sect to the extreme. Therefore, the relationship between the two sects became closer and closer. In fact, every time Qiu Qingchuan came to the Northwest Qin City, she could directly be half a master. Moreover, every time something big happened in the Northwest Qin City. Sometimes, the master of the Autumn Water Sword sect didn't come to Qin City to attend. She directly sent her son or a representative. From this, it could be seen how arrogant the Autumn Water Sword sect was. How important it was to Qin City. Recently, Qin Wanchou had a huge problem. All along, there had been a sword of Damos hanging above his head. That was, he had to completely choose a side between the Tiando League and the evil ways. His attitude had always been to sit on the fence. Putting Qin Shiqi in an important position and even making her the successor of Qin City was to show that he was going to rely on the evil ways. Then, he married Qin Jiaojiao to Yang Dingtian as a concubine and let Qin Huayu and Yang Dingtian join. This was to bet on the Tiando League. Just as he said, as a grandmaster, and as the richest and most powerful overlord in the world. Even when facing Li Ming, he had an aloof attitude. Therefore, he could sit on the fence safely and didn't have to make a thorough choice. Therefore, the evil Prince Li Ming had no special methods to deal with him. After all, the only military force Li Ming had in his hands was the South Sea Ning clan. The World Extermination Army hadn't arrived yet, and the most important thing to him now was the resurrection of the Demon King Wentian. Therefore, he decided on a conspiracy, or rather a strategy, to resurrect the Demon King Wentian. The key to this was Yang Dingtian. Then, he was halfway to success. Without a choice, Yang Dingtian finally used Wentian's tear crystal and successfully gave it to the Evil Way's greatest enemy and the most important person to resurrect Wentian, Nihility Piao Ling, followed by Dongfang Bingling's demonization. The success of this plan instantly allowed the evil Prince Li Ming to seize the absolute initiative. Li Ming had been traveling the world for a period of time. Of course, people like Yang Dingtian didn't know of his existence, but people like Qin Wanchou had never stopped coming into contact with Li Ming. To be honest, Li Ming had a difficult time operating before. Alone, the South Sea Ning clan's martial power couldn't be fully used. He could only rely on himself to wander the world's forces and lobby. In short, he was basically in a state of hitting a wall. Everywhere he went, he was treated as a distinguished guest, but when it came to specific matters, he was directly ignored. But ever since Nihility Piao Ling's demonization, the Demon King Wentian's resurrection was equivalent to half completed. Although, almost no one saw the scene that happened in the yin-yang mirror. It didn't cause any waves on the surface. In fact, the impact on the world situation was subversive. In an instant, it could be said to have directly changed the world situation. Li Ming's status instantly rose infinitely. He became a master who could decide the fate of countless important figures. Therefore, countless important figures sold themselves to him. The Autumn Water Sword sect was one of them. They directly made their young master, Qiu Qingchuan, take Ning Wuming as her master and become his sword slave. Why was it Ning Wuming's sword slave and not Li Ming's? The reason was very simple. Li Ming's identity was still a top secret in the chaotic world and would definitely not be made public. Ning Wuming of the South Sea Ning clan was his representative. Therefore, Qin Chichi directly married Ning Wuming without any warning. Li Ming's identity should be equal to the young master of the hidden sect. Not to mention the Autumn Water Sword sect, even the northwest Qin city was a little out of reach. Even if Li Ming wanted to take in a sword slave, Shantian sect's Zhu Hongxue and Yinyang school's Ling Ao were barely qualified. After the Yinyang mirror incident, Nihility Piao Ling and Dongfang Bingling's demonization. The direct result was a direct change in Qin Wanchou's attitude. Sky Phoenix Pavilion's Duan Rian was his most beloved woman. Previously, Qin Chichi crazily attacked Sky Phoenix Pavilion for no reason. Because of Qin Wanchou's attitude, Qin Wanchou couldn't sit by and watch his beloved woman die. However, after the Yinyang mirror incident, Qin Wanchou directly changed his attitude and tacitly allowed the South Sea Ning clan's evil army to enter the Western world. He also transferred the Grandmaster puppet beside him to Qin Chichi. As a result, Sky Phoenix Pavilion's army was completely wiped out. Duan Rian was captured and her fate was unknown. Leng Yanmei took charge of Sky Phoenix Pavilion and the Northwest Tiando League. It also directly led to the crime of Yang Dingtian killing Dongfang Bingling, which led to the Tiando League's sanctions and crusades against Yang Dingtian and Cloud Sky City. Everything that had happened was because of one thing. That was the Yin-Yang mirror incident. After the Yin-Yang mirror incident, the situation was a secret to the entire world. However, to the important figures, the situation was very, very clear. That was Li Ming versus Yang Dingtian. The young master of the Temple of Annihilation versus the young master of the hidden sect, Yang Dingtian. It could be said that even a blind person could tell who would win and who would lose. Therefore, even a blind person could tell which side to choose. Who was on Li Ming's side? High-level Grandmaster Li Ming, Half-Sage Nihility Piao Ling, Half-Sage the Demon King Wentian who was about to be resurrected, and demonized Dongfang Bingling who was rapidly becoming a Grandmaster. There were also Grandmasters like the Temple of Blood and the Joyous Palace. Not to mention the tens of millions of Legion of Doom hanging above the chaotic world like the Sword of Deimos. Just in the competition between the experts. On Li Ming's side, there were 5 grandmasters and 2 half-sages. On Yang Dingtian's side, there were only a few grandmasters and a mysterious and unreliable grandmaster. This kind of disparity wasn't a battle, but a tease. Therefore, even a blind person knew which side to choose. Therefore, when Qin Wanchou tilted the scales, the Sky Phoenix Pavilion was destroyed. The southwest continent that Qin Chichi had been fighting for months completely fell in a few days. Moreover, in order to show his contempt for Yang Dingtian, Li Ming didn't even make a move. Therefore, Yang Dingtian's most direct opponent was Ning Wuming from the South Sea's Ning clan. Of course, Yang Dingtian, who was in a desperate situation, still managed to display a shocking ability. He actually obtained the loyalty of Qin Huayu, Vulture, and Song Chunhua. In the end, he even obtained Zhu Hongshue's trust. Instantly, he became stronger in terms of momentum. In the end, he even obtained the thousands of Devil Dragon Legion from the World Society. Of course, all of this couldn't change anything for someone as important as Qin Wanchou. It couldn't change the extreme disparity in strength. In his eyes, Yang Dingtian was still a mantis trying to stop a chariot, an ant with the strength of an ant. Therefore, he led 20,000 cavalry to intercept Yang Dingtian on his way back. He only had one goal, which was to get back his son, Qin Huayu, and the most important chess piece in the future, De Guoxuan. However, he didn't expect that both things would fail. Yang Dingtian was so cunning that he instantly saw through the fact that he was spying on De Guoxuan. And Qin Huayu was even more unexpected. He didn't care about his life, as if he was brainwashed, and stood on Yang Dingtian's side, the side that was destined to lose. Of course, Qin Wanchou was currently facing an even bigger problem. That was, he might lose the Autumn Water Sword sect. The Autumn Water Sword sect's mines were the absolute wealth of the Northwest Qin city, the foundation of the Northwest Qin city. It could be said that after losing the Autumn Water Sword sect, the Northwest Qin city would collapse. As if to punish Qin Wanchou for his arrogance, Ning Wuming and the Autumn Water Sword sect had been getting closer and closer. Various signs showed that Ning Wuming, or rather Li Ming, had already touched the Autumn Water Island, the astronomical wealth, the astronomical strategic mines. It was because of this that the Autumn Water Sword sect had become more and more arrogant in front of Qin Wanchou. Before this, unless it was the Northwest Qin city's summons, the Autumn Water Sword sect's army couldn't enter the Northwest mainland. However, this time, there was almost no request. Qiu Qingchuan led 20,000 troops and swaggered into the Northwest mainland. It was only after they had landed that they reported to Qin Wanchou. This was a huge provocation to Qin Wanchou. However, Qin Wanchou endured it. Times were different. If he did this, it would mean completely breaking off relations with the evil ways, Li Ming. He couldn't afford to pay such a price. That night, Qin Wanchou met with the messenger sent by Ning Wuming. The messenger stated the conditions. Qin Mengli had to marry Qiu Fengwu because only then could Qin Wanchou's attitude towards breaking off relations with Yang Dingtian. Of all of Qin Mengli's assets, 30% would be used as dowry and would belong to the Autumn Water Sword sect. Of course, it would belong to the evil ways. From then on, 60% of the assets on the Autumn Water Island would belong to Qin City and 40% would belong to the Autumn Water Sword sect. Qin Wanchou didn't hesitate for long and agreed immediately. However, after the messenger left, he was extremely furious and smashed everything in the room. Just like that, Qin Mengli and Qiu Fengwu's wedding was set. It would be held on the 4th day after Qin Wanchou signed the agreement. Qin Wanchou announced that Qin Mengli and Qin City's military advisor, Shen Lang, would officially divorce and marry the Autumn Water Sword sect's leader, Qiu Fengwu as a concubine. Furthermore, Qin City would send a representative to attend Qin Mengli and Qiu Fengwu's wedding. Instantly, the feud between Qin City and the Autumn Water Sword sect came to an end temporarily. However, on the 3rd night after Ning Wuming's messenger left, Qin City welcomed another mysterious guest. In other words, the famous courtesan, the former madam of Qin City, Yang Shishi's room welcomed a mysterious guest. This guest was, of course, Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian in disguise. Originally, Yang Dingtian's group of 5 flew directly to the Autumn Water Island and planned to annihilate the Autumn Water Sword sect without anyone knowing. However, after the news of Qin Mengli and Qiu Fengwu's wedding spread, Yang Dingtian realized that he had to change. He couldn't annihilate the Autumn Water Sword sect without anyone knowing because the Autumn Water Island was destined to be filled with experts. This was a danger. Of course, danger also meant crisis. Yang Dingtian saw a crack between Qin City and the evil ways. Therefore, he had to completely tear this crack apart. He discovered a huge opportunity. If he succeeded, not only could he annihilate the Autumn Water Sword sect, but he could also greatly improve Cloud Sky City's passive situation. Therefore, he disguised himself and entered Qin City. In Yang Shishi's room, he sent a private invitation to Qin Wanchou. Of course, this was a risk, a huge risk. If Qin Wanchou stood firmly with the evil ways, it would cause Yang Dingtian's plan to be exposed. However, Yang Dingtian believed in Qin Wanchou's wisdom and scheming, so he took this risk. Just as Yang Dingtian drank his 3rd cup of tea, Qin Wanchou appeared. He had also disguised himself. Yang Shishi, who had a mental breakdown, was still intoxicated in her singing and dancing. She didn't notice that there were 2 people in the room. One was Yang Dingtian, and the other was her ex-husband. The moment Qin Wanchou entered the room, his gaze became incomparably complicated. He sent Yang Shishi to the brothel as a punishment, but in the end, she was incomparably enjoying herself and was incomparably happy. This was undoubtedly a fatal blow to a punisher. After letting Yang Shishi leave, Yang Dingtian's first sentence was to ask, "Meng Li, are you okay?" "She's fine for now. Qiu Fengwu isn't on the Autumn Water Island. He's going around inviting guests and will only return on the day of the wedding. He's a pervert. Once the wedding is successful, Meng Li's innocence will definitely be lost," Qin Wanchou said. Then let's cooperate." Yang Dingtian said, "You don't have to do anything. Just help me with 2 things. I'll help you kill Qiu Fengwu and annihilate the Autumn Water Sword sect." "Including Qiu Ruhan?" Qin Wanchou asked. Yang Dingtian's eyes narrowed and said, "If you're willing." Chapter 445. Things had changed. The Autumn Water Sword sect's master, Qiu Fengwu, wanted to forcefully take Qin Mengli as his concubine and tried to swallow all of Mengli's assets. According to the original plan, the assassination wouldn't work. Therefore, Yang Dingtian chose to take a risk and cooperate with Qin Wanchou. "Yang Dingtian, I'm definitely on the side of evil ways. Therefore, it's impossible for you to change my position on this matter," Qin Wanchou said. Qin Wanchou said, "Furthermore, if you can successfully exterminate the Autumn Water Sword sect, in order to prove your innocence, my attitude towards Cloud Sky City will be even more intense." "It doesn't matter." Yang Dingtian said, "Our cooperation is limited to this one time." Qin Wanchou said, "Then I'll make it clear. I can't send any experts to participate. Everything still depends on you." "Of course," Yang Dingtian said. "All right then." Qin Wanchou said, "Tell me, what do you need me to do?" "First, even if you've already agreed to this wedding, you have to show an attitude of rejection. Therefore, first of all, you can't participate," Yang Dingtian said. "Of course, I won't participate in the first place," Qin Wanchou said. "Not only can you not participate, but you also can't send experts to participate. Don't bring pressure to our battle." Yang Dingtian said, "Furthermore, you have to influence all the people you can influence. Don't let them send their experts to participate." "All right," Qin Wanchou said. Then, he muttered, "Qiu Ruhan is a 3-star grandmaster. What if she goes to the Autumn Water Sword sect?" Yang Dingtian's heart trembled slightly. The relationship between husband and wife had reached such a level. It was really outrageous. Qin Wanchou's desire to kill his wife was actually so intense. What's Qiu Fengwu's cultivation? How many grandmasters are there in the entire Autumn Water Sword sect? Yang Dingtian asked. Qiu Fengwu is a 5-star grandmaster. There are 4 grandmasters in the Autumn Water Sword sect, Qin Wanchou said, however, the others have only broken through to the grandmaster realm. How can there be so many? Yang Dingtian frowned. They have an endless supply of cultivation materials. Those who are talented have already reached the grandmaster level, Qin Wanchou said. Yang Dingtian pondered. 1 5-star grandmaster and 3 ordinary grandmasters. This was already the limit of Yang Dingtian's team. Yang Dingtian's team only had 3 grandmasters. One was close to becoming a grandmaster, while the other was only a martial venerable. Of course, Yaorao was also a master. However, she was too elusive. Cloud Sky City had no control over her. Yang Dingtian had returned to Cloud Sky City a few times, but he had never seen her. Of course, she didn't do anything bad. All her energy was placed on the baby in her belly. She didn't care about anything in Cloud Sky City. After hesitating for a while, Yang Dingtian said, City Lord Qin, your wife, Qiu Ruhan, don't kill her this time. However, her life is still in our hands. In this deal, we will promise to help you kill her. How about it? The 4 grandmasters of the Autumn Water Sword sect are almost our limit. With the addition of Qiu Ruhan, who is a 3-star grandmaster, the change is too great. We can't neglect the essentials. The key is to kill Qiu Fengwu. Qin Wanchou narrowed his eyes and nodded. All right, we won't kill her this time. When the conditions are ripe, I will send you a letter directly. Yang Dingtian said, okay. Lord Qin, are you sure that none of the guests attending the wedding are grandmasters? Qin Wanchou said, this wedding is a little rushed, so the guests are destined to be within 3,000 miles. And within 3,000 miles, it is my Qin city's sphere of influence, so I can basically guarantee that. However, there are 3 people who are not within my control. Which 3? Yang Dingtian asked. First, the city lord of White Cloud City, Yi Wucheng, a 5-star grandmaster. You also know that when I let Mingli divorce his brother and marry your clone, Shenlang, we had already broken off our relationship. Qin Wanchou said, I can no longer influence him. The city lord of White Cloud City, Yi Wucheng, probably won't go. Because Mingli was once his brother's wife. This wedding can be considered a slap to his face. Although White Cloud City and the Autumn Water Sword sect sold themselves to evil ways the most, the competition between the 2 slaves will be fierce. Yang Dingtian said. That makes sense. Qin Wanchou said, but if Ning Wuming goes, even if he is unwilling, he will still go. What about the second one? Yang Dingtian asked. Leng Yanmei, an 8-star grandmaster. Qin Wanchou said, the evil spirit's energy is really strong. It directly raised Leng Yanmei from a 3-star grandmaster to an 8-star grandmaster. She is now Ning Wuming's most loyal ally. I can no longer influence her. Yang Dingtian said, but this person is incomparably arrogant. She won't put the Autumn Water Sword sect in her eyes. She probably won't go. But if Ning Wuming goes, she will definitely go. Qin Wanchou said, Ning Wuming is Li Ming's representative. Once he attends, everyone will have to attend, including me. Yang Dingtian frowned. He was very sure of this. Just like on Earth, the mayor and the secretary didn't get along. Both of them didn't put the deputy mayor in their eyes. When the deputy mayor's son got married, these 2 big shots basically wouldn't attend. However, if a high-ranking official suddenly attended the wedding, then no matter how much the mayor and secretary didn't get along, and no matter how much they looked down on the deputy mayor, they would still obediently attend. Then will Ning Wuming go? Yang Dingtian asked. Very likely. Qin Wanchou said, this time, the Autumn Water Sword sect contributed so much wealth. It's an astronomical amount of assets. In order to reward them, Ning Wuming will definitely attend. Do you have a way to stop Ning Wuming from going? Yang Dingtian asked. I don't have a way. Qin Wanchou said straightforwardly, my will can't affect Ning Wuming. I'm still outside their circle. If I show any intention of stopping Ning Wuming from attending the wedding, it will arouse his suspicion. Maybe your plan will be exposed. That made sense. Ning Wuming was an extremely cunning person. In terms of intelligence and scheming, Yang Dingtian wasn't his opponent, not to mention that he had the cunning Qin Chichi by his side. So, to stop Ning Wuming from attending the wedding, you have to rely on yourself. Qin Wanchou said, if you can't do this, I advise you not to do it. Even if you want to do it, don't bring my son, Qin Huayu. Yang Dingtian narrowed his eyes slightly. Based on the current situation, Ning Wuming would definitely attend the wedding as a reward for the Autumn Water Sword sect paying such a huge price. Once Ning Wuming went, Qin Wanchou, White Cloud City Master, and Lin Yanmei would all go. In this way, killing Qiu Fengwu and destroying the Autumn Water Sword sect would be completely out of the question. If Yang Dingtian went to Autumn Water Island, he would only be like a sheep entering a tiger's den. Yang Dingtian wouldn't be so stupid. City Master Qin, if we kill your wife, Qiu Ruhan, will that stop Ning Wuming from attending the wedding and attend Qiu Ruhan's funeral instead? Yang Dingtian said, after all, Qin Cheng's wife has a much higher status. Of course. Qin Wanchou said, between Qiu Ruhan's wedding and Qin Cheng's wife's funeral, Ning Wuming will definitely choose Qiu Ruhan's funeral. However, Qiu Fengwu will also come, so the wedding will be cancelled or delayed. Indeed, this path wouldn't work. Otherwise, Qin Wanchou would be happy to kill his wife in advance. By the way, City Master Qin, is the death of your first wife related to Qiu Ruhan? Yang Dingtian asked. Instantly, Qin Wanchou's face turned cold and he said, don't ask about things you shouldn't ask. City Master Qin, please pay attention to our relationship. Yang Dingtian said coldly, I have to judge the authenticity of your will to kill your wife, so you still have to answer this question. Qin Wanchou's face turned ugly, then he nodded and said, yes, she killed her. However, everyone said that I killed her because I wanted to marry Qiu Ruhan. Yes, I want to marry Qiu Ruhan, but only as a second wife, just like you marrying Jiao Jiao. However, someone made a move and made Qiu Ruhan my only wife. If that was the case, everything made sense. Also, Qiu Ruhan can't get pregnant. It was my doing. Qin Wanchou said, I won't allow the future successor of Qin Cheng to fall into the hands of the Autumn Water Sword sect. If she really gives birth to a son, Qin Huayu's life will be in danger. Yang Dingtian clicked his tongue. He could tell that this couple didn't have a good relationship, sleeping in the same bed but dreaming different dreams. However, he didn't expect that they were enemies to this extent. It must have been hard for them to live together for so long. Yes, then I promise you again that I will definitely kill Qiu Ruhan, Yang Dingtian said. Qin Wanchou said, that's a matter for the future. Now, you have to promise that you can make Ning Wuming not attend the wedding on Autumn Water Island. If you can't do this, then there's nothing to talk about. Instantly, Yang Dingtian frowned. This was really very difficult to do. Ning Wuming was too cunning. Yang Dingtian, it was impossible for you to influence his will. Of course, there was a way. However, that was Yang Dingtian's future plan after defeating Qin Chichi and Ning Wuming's alliance and winning the first battle against the evil ways. What was this plan? Of course, it was to impersonate Ning Hua and obtain the Yin Chaos demonic turbidity to establish the Xian Qi condensation purification array. Completely destroy the Ning clan of the South Sea and make Li Ming lose his only military base in the chaotic world. This plan was very important to Yang Dingtian. It was even as important as the upcoming battle. Although Li Ming's aura was extremely powerful now, it was completely like, submit to me and prosper, oppose me and perish. However, most of it was just borrowing power. There was only one armed force in his hands, and that was the Ning clan of the South Sea. Once the Ning clan of the South Sea was destroyed, Ning Wuming would be eliminated. Li Ming would become awkward. He would have to face Yang Dingtian directly. At that time, he would be in a huge embarrassment and trouble. Because he couldn't kill Yang Dingtian. That's right, he couldn't kill him. The Devil Queen was incomparably powerful, but her main mission for a long time was to revive the Demon King Wentian. Not to mention the Devil Queen, even the evil Princess Mu Dan wasn't someone that Li Ming could command. Therefore, once Ning Wuming and the Ning clan of the South Sea were destroyed, Yang Dingtian would have the initiative. At that time, he would lead the Tiando League to prepare for war and prepare to resist the invasion of the Doomsday Army. If Yang Dingtian appeared as Ning Huanao, he could of course directly and successfully stop Ning Wuming from going to Autumn Water Island. However, it would have a certain impact on Yang Dingtian's plan to destroy the Ning clan of the South Sea. As for how big the impact would be, Yang Dingtian didn't know. After a deep hesitation and weighing the pros and cons, Yang Dingtian said, "I have a way to stop Ning Wuming from going to Autumn Water Island. Your matter can be carried out." Qin Wanchou said, "Are you sure you have a way? How confident are you?" 80%, 90%, or even higher, Yang Dingtian said. Qin Wanchou was instantly shocked and stunned. Then, he stood up and said, "I believe you can do it. Then go ahead and carry it out." "I'm going to carry it out too." Yang Dingtian also stood up and said, "Then, goodbye. I wish our cooperation a smooth success." Qin Wanchou said, "I wish you success in saving Mengli and successfully destroying the Autumn Water Sword sect." Then, Qin Wanchou left and disappeared into the night. Then, Yang Dingtian also left and disappeared into the night. After leaving, he suddenly flew tens of thousands of meters into the air and flew in the direction of West Prefecture City. 4 hours later, in the most famous brothel of West Prefecture City, an extremely handsome face appeared in front of everyone. Suddenly, it caused an incomparable shock. In this brothel, almost all the men and women came out to see this unparalleled handsome man who was 1 in 100,000. Then, that night, this extremely handsome man and the most popular lady in the brothel had a night together. Then, they completely disappeared into the night as if they had never appeared. Soon, this news was directly transmitted to Ning Wuming's ears. At that time, Ning Wuming was packing up and planning to go to Autumn Water Island with Qin Chichi to attend Qiu Fengwu's concubine wedding ceremony. However, soon, an intelligence chief of the Ning clan of the South Sea whispered something in his ear. Suddenly, Ning Wuming's expression changed drastically. "Ning Wuming, what happened?" the extremely beautiful Qin Chichi asked. "Oh, nothing." Ning Wuming said, "Maybe I can't attend the wedding on Autumn Water Island. You can go on my behalf." Qin Chichi said, "But, there's a big difference between me going alone and us going together. If you don't go, Ling Yanmei, Yi Wucheng, and my father won't go. Then, it'll be difficult for us to completely take over Autumn Water Island's property." Ning Wuming frowned. Qin Chichi's words made sense. Ning Wuming represented the Temple of Annihilation, Li Ming. If he didn't go, Qiu Fengwu would have a lot of opinions. Then, there might be changes in swallowing Autumn Water Island's property. He immediately began to hesitate. Then, the intelligence chief said, after Madame Wu Maji heard the news, she went immediately. She didn't bring anyone and flew to West Prefecture City alone at the fastest speed. Suddenly, Ning Wuming's expression changed drastically. He immediately said, "Prepare the fastest flying mount and prepare everything. I want to rush to West Prefecture City at the fastest speed." Suddenly, Qin Chichi's expression became a little ugly. Although Ning Wuming was her husband, when he heard Wu Maji's name, he immediately became flustered. This was a huge blow to every wife. Suddenly, Qin Chichi revealed a beautiful smile and said, "Ning Wuming, if you have something important to do, I won't stop you. However, Autumn Water Island is really too important. If you don't go, there will really be changes. Ning Wuming frowned and said, how about this, you go on my behalf first. I'll go to West Prefecture City to deal with some matters first, then rush to Autumn Water Island at the fastest speed. Of course, let their wedding go on as usual. Anyway, I'll definitely make a trip to West Prefecture Island. Qin Chi-Chi's beautiful eyes trembled. She said softly, all right, as you wish. The next day, dawn. Yang Dingtian, Zhu Hongxue, Qin Huayu, Song Chunhua, and Vulture. The five of them all disguised themselves. With Qin Wancho's help, they mixed into a group of forces and headed to Autumn Water Island to attend Qiu Fengwu's wedding. It was just as Yang Dingtian had expected. If Ning Wuming did not come, the White Cloud City governor and Lin Yanmei would not come. Qin Chi-Chi's arrival was one of the variables. However, Qin Wancho brought great news. With his help, the martial grandmaster puppet by Qin Chi-Chi's side did not follow Qin Chi-Chi to Autumn Water Island. As a result, things had entered the most advantageous situation for Yang Dingtian. Without any grandmaster guests attending the wedding, Yang Dingtian only had to face 5 grandmasters. Qiu Fengwu was a 5-star grandmaster. The remaining 4, including Qin Chi-Chi's bodyguards, were all ordinary grandmasters. Although this battle would be difficult, Yang Dingtian was still filled with absolute confidence. They would win this battle, and they had to win. This was because Yang Dingtian's declaration had already spread throughout the Western world. It had already become a huge laughingstock. Annihilating the Autumn Water Sword sect would not only save Qin Mingli, but it would also dye Yang Dingtian's declaration red with blood. At noon, Yang Dingtian entered Autumn Water Island. Qiu Fengwu had also returned to Autumn Water Island. The blood-colored wedding had officially begun. Chapter 446. At this moment, the main hall of Autumn Water Island was magnificent and filled with guests. Autumn Water Island was the richest in the world. However, he could not expand. Therefore, Qiu Fengwu spent almost all his wealth on extravagance. Therefore, the entire Autumn Wind Island was filled with pavilions, carved railings, and jade. It was magnificent. It could be said that in terms of extravagance, Autumn Wind Island was the most extravagant in the world, far surpassing Qin City. The main hall of Qiu Fengwu and Qin Mingli's wedding ceremony was inlaid with purple crystals and jade stones. The pillars were all made of gold. Every brick on the wall was made of expensive jade stones. The main hall was filled with candles, fine wine, carpets, and chairs. Every single one of them was priceless. When all the guests arrived at the main hall, they were like country bumpkins, suppressed by the aura of wealth. They had never seen such a luxurious main hall, such exquisite food, and such sparkling and translucent fine wine. Even the maids who poured the wine were wearing expensive dyed snow brocade. This main hall was Tianjin Hall, the most extravagant in the world. Today, Qiu Fengwu would hold his wedding ceremony here. Although he was taking in a concubine, he was not willing to use Tianjin Hall for the wedding ceremony when he was marrying his first wife. It could be seen that his desire for Qin Mingli was extremely strong. Qiu Fengwu had been drooling over Qin Mingli for a long time. However, his son, Qiu Qingchuan, had taken a fancy to Qin Mingli. Therefore, no matter how passionate Qiu Fengwu was, he had to restrain himself. However, he finally did not have to restrain himself now. He could even use the name of avenging Qiu Qingchuan to take this peerless beauty into his room. Of course, some people might say that Qin Mingli was a vixen. Before she married Yang Dingtian, she was promiscuous. Qiu Fengwu did not mind. Most men in the world had a vixen plot. In particular, Qin Mingli had a noble status and was extremely wealthy. She was definitely the richest woman in the world. Now, after marrying her, he could receive both her and her wealth. Of course, Qiu Fengwu would be happy even in his dreams. Furthermore, Qiu Fengwu hated Yang Dingtian to the extreme and hated him to the core. Furthermore, Qin Mingli was one of Yang Dingtian's wives. Snatching Qin Mingli away was undoubtedly the best revenge against Yang Dingtian. Thinking of this, Qiu Fengwu's body heated up. At this moment, the great hall was filled with distinguished guests from within 3,000 kilometers. However, Qiu Fengwu was a little unhappy. Why? Ning Wuming did not come. He had sacrificed so much for the Temple of Annihilation, yet Ning Wuming did not attend his wedding. Even though he had sent his wife Qin Chichi, how could Qin Chichi be the same as Ning Wuming? Ning Wuming directly represented the evil demon Prince Li Ming. If Ning Wuming didn't come, then Leng Yanmei, Qin Wanqiu, and Yi Wucheng, who had the highest status within 3,000 miles, wouldn't come. Moreover, under Qin Wanqiu's suppression, the sect leaders of large and small forces rarely came in person. They all sent their sons or elders, which made Qiu Fengwu lose face. However, all his dissatisfaction vanished the moment he saw Qin Mingli. This Qin Mingli was far more attractive and enchanting than he had imagined. Moreover, she was Qin Wanqiu's biological sister, the second or third most important person in Qin City. However, she had become his concubine. Qin Wanqiu's anger was imaginable, so it was understandable that he didn't attend. Qin Mingli was wearing a red veil at this moment. However, when a man who had reached a higher level looked at a woman, the first thing he would look at was not her face, but her figure and posture. Qin Mingli's figure, posture, and temperament had instantly defeated all the women in Qiu Fengwu's harem. What more could a man ask for after obtaining such a beauty? Not to mention that he would also obtain a shocking amount of wealth. Suddenly, Qiu Fengwu's pain of losing his son dissipated a lot. When he heard that the auspicious hour had arrived, he couldn't help but rush forward to hold Qin Mingli's hand. This was a pair of jade-like hands that he had yearned for even in his dreams. Who knew that at this moment, the bride, Qin Mingli, would actually remove her veil directly, revealing her incomparably beautiful and charming face. Under her own makeup, her entire face was breathtakingly gorgeous. Especially when she removed her veil in a wild manner, this kind of beauty was simply piercing. Qiu Fengwu held his breath, and his heart suddenly tightened. Qin Mingli's wild actions almost instantly pierced his heart with her stunning beauty. "Is there wine?" Qin Mingli asked straightforwardly. Instantly, all the guests were stunned. This bride really had a personality. Under her gorgeous appearance, this kind of personality also became especially attractive. "Wine, there is, of course there is." Qiu Fengwu smiled and said, "However, isn't it better to drink after the wedding toast?" "No, if I don't drink till I faint now, I won't have the courage to look at your face," Qin Mingli said. Instantly, everyone almost couldn't help but laugh out loud, but they didn't dare to. Strangely, Qiu Fengwu wasn't angry at all. Instead, he was even more attracted to this beauty in front of him. He couldn't help but smile and said, "Although I'm old, I'm still handsome and have a dignified appearance." Then, Qiu Fengwu laughed confidently. Instantly, everyone was relieved and laughed along. "Yes." Qin Mingli turned her face and looked at Qiu Fengwu's face with her beautiful eyes. Qiu Fengwu was handsome. His face was very long, but his eyes were a little deep. Although he was in his 50s, he still had a heroic appearance. Seeing Qin Mingli's naturally hot and watery eyes looking at him, Qiu Fengwu's heart couldn't help but skip a beat even though he had seen countless women. "Yes, you're not bad, but you're a little disgusting in my heart." Qin Mingli said, "Where's the wine? If we don't get drunk, we can't go through with the wedding ceremony." Qiu Fengwu said loudly, "Bring the wine." Immediately, a beautiful maid brought over a wine pot and wine cups. The wine pot was made of purple crystals. The wine cup was made of snow-toed jade, which could distinguish all poisons in the world. Qiu Fengwu personally poured a cup of wine and handed it to Qin Mingli. Mingli took it and was about to drink it in one gulp. A beauty drinking wine was so alluring. However, just as she was about to drink it, Mingli said, "Don't tell me you spiked my wine?" Qiu Fengwu's face turned stiff, but there was a smile in his eyes. "What kind of person do you think I am?" What can't you do? Mengli said. Then, she held the wine cup and looked around. Finally, her eyes landed on a handsome young man's face. She said, "Mister, please taste it for me. If there's no poison, I'll drink it again." Then, Mengli said, "Don't finish it, I still want to drink." In front of such a beauty, the young man seemed to have been struck by lightning. He was immediately mesmerized and couldn't see Qiu Fengwu's angry face. He took the cup of wine and was about to drink it. How could Qiu Fengwu tolerate this? This beauty is my future wife. How can I allow others to taint her? Isn't sharing a cup of wine the same as indirectly tasting my beauty's fiery red lips? Whoever dares to taint my beauty, I'll skin him alive and break his bones. Before the handsome young man could drink it, Qiu Fengwu snatched the wine cup and drank it. Then, he said to Qin Mengli, "Look, there's no poison, right?" "Oh, but I accidentally drank it all in one breath. I'll pour it again for you." After saying that, Qiu Fengwu was about to fill the wine cup for Mengli again. "No need." Mengli snatched the wine pot away. Then, she opened her mouth and poured the wine into the pot. The crystal-clear wine was poured into Mengli's red lips like a water column. For such a stunning beauty to make such a heroic scene, the lethality of it to men was truly limitless. Although Qiu Fengwu was the one who was going to marry this beauty, but many men present had already fallen for her. In the future, they would dream of this scene countless times in their dreams. Mengli drank the entire pot of wine until there was nothing left. After drinking it, the fragrance of her body seemed to evaporate. The blush on her face made her even more gorgeous. Her beautiful eyes looked as if they were about to drip water. Her beautiful red lips were like flames that were about to ignite. Qiu Fengwu could not help but press his lower abdomen. He was too close to the flame that was Mengli. He really felt like he could not breathe. At this moment, it was not only Mengli's beauty that attracted him. Her temperament and wild seductiveness were like fatal magnets. "All right, we've drunk the wine. Can we go through the wedding ceremony now?" Qiu Fengwu said. Qin Mengli widened her beautiful eyes and stared at Qiu Fengwu's face. She said, "Wait a moment. The wine hasn't kicked in yet. Your face is still very clear. Wait until it's blurry before we do the ceremony." Qiu Fengwu should have been angry. If he was 20 years younger, he might have left in a huff. However, he was already more than 50 years old. He prided himself as a mature man. Of course, he would not be affected by such childish words. Suddenly, he laughed heartily and said, "All right, I'll drink with you." After saying that, he took another wine pot and poured the wine into the pot that Mengli had drunk from. Finally, he also poured the wine into his mouth. Indeed, the young were prudent, but the old were wild. Qiu Fengwu's attitude immediately attracted cheers. "All right." Qiu Fengwu drank the entire pot of wine. Soon, he felt a little tipsy. Of course, how could such a small amount of wine make him drunk? However, it was not the wine that made him drunk. Just looking at such a peerless beauty was enough to make one intoxicated. Mengli sneered in her heart. This old thief really wanted to die quickly. Not only did he drink one cup, but he also drank the entire pot. In order to take advantage of Mengli, he even shared the same pot. He did not take advantage of her and drank the entire pot of poisonous wine. After drinking, Qiu Fengwu smiled and said, "My wife, are you still not drunk?" "I'm going to be drunk." After saying that, he directly reached out to grab Mengli's hand and said, "Come, come, come. Let's go through the wedding ceremony." At this moment, there was a sudden loud shout from outside. "The messenger of Cloud Sky City has arrived." Suddenly, everyone was stunned. Qiu Fengwu's expression changed. The messenger of Cloud Sky City? Cloud Sky City actually dared to come at this time. Suddenly, Qiu Fengwu's heart was filled with hatred. He said coldly, "Let him in. I want to see what tricks Yang Dingtian's lackey has up his sleeves." Soon, the travel-worn messenger of Cloud Sky City entered the magnificent main hall. Wait! Chiu Fengwu said coldly, you despicable person of Cloud Sky City are not qualified to enter my main hall. Don't dirty my jade floor. Suddenly, everyone burst into laughter. The handsome face of the messenger twitched, and his eyes shot out a ray of anger. The messengers sent by Cloud Sky City were all fanatical admirers of Yang Dingtian. After coming out, they did not even think of returning alive. Speak, what do you despicable and evil city lord Yang Dingtian have to say? If you want to beg for mercy, you don't have to. Wash your neck and wait for my Tiando League's crusade army to completely annihilate Cloud Sky City. Chiu Fengwu said coldly. The messenger's eyes were filled with anger. He took out the declaration and said, this is the declaration of our city lord. Please accept it, Autumn Water Sword Faction Master. No, I think it's dirty. Your Cloud Sky City's men are thieves and women are prostitutes. Your mother-in-law and son-in-law have illicit relations. Mother and daughter both serve one person. Who knows how many sins they have committed? How dare I accept Yang Dingtian's things? Chiu Fengwu sneered. In fact, although he was unbridled and arrogant, he would not say such frivolous words in public. However, today, he was stimulated by hatred and wine. He could not help but say these vicious words. The messenger's face was cold. He opened the declaration and read it loudly. First, let us say justice again. I, Yang Dingtian, lead the Tiando League forces and stand on the side of justice. Qin Chichi, Ning Wuming, and the Temple of Annihilation's young master, Li Ming, stand on the side of evil. Regarding the two opposing sides, everyone has to face it. No one can escape. Second, if someone is willing to join us, stand on the side of justice, and fight against evil ways to the end. They are my life and death brothers. We will live and die together and will never betray each other. Third, if you are afraid of the power of evil ways and do not dare to be enemies, then don't worry about it. You can stand aside and watch the battle. It won't be too late for you to choose a side after we win or lose. Fourth, if you are blinded by greed or have even more evil motives and stand on the side of evil ways, stand on the side of Qin Chichi and Ning Wuming, then you are the enemy of human justice. You are the enemy of the Tiando League and you are my enemy. Then, no matter how noble your background is, no matter how powerful your forces are, I will kill you all. Today's Autumn Water Sword faction is an example. Now, I announce the Tiando League's first extermination order. Autumn Water Sword faction, colluding with evil ways, betraying the Tiando League, betraying justice, and betraying the chaotic world. Here, I officially announce that the Autumn Water Sword faction is expelled from the Tiando League. Kill all the people of the Autumn Water Sword sect. Announce the extermination order to all the backbone of the Autumn Water Sword faction. All forces and people in the world must draw a clear line with the Autumn Water Sword faction. All martial artists of the Autumn Water Sword faction can leave their forces within a month, draw a clear line with them, and announce that they are enemies. Otherwise, when the time comes, they will be killed without mercy. From today onwards, this proclamation will be spread throughout the world. After reading Yang Dingtian's proclamation, the emissaries stood there silently. First, there was a deathly silence in the field. Everyone seemed to not dare to believe their ears. Was this Yang Dingtian a madman? Was he an idiot? He was about to be finished. He was about to be condemned by everyone. He was about to become the public enemy. Soon, the Tiando League's allied forces would go on a crusade and completely exterminate him. Now, he actually issued a Yang Dingtian proclamation. Ridiculous, laughable. Then, everyone roared with laughter. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, a despicable person is invincible. I didn't believe it before, but today, I finally believe it. Chiu Fengwu covered his stomach and laughed. I've never seen such a stupid, arrogant, despicable, shallow, and laughable person. Yang Dingtian, you really opened my eyes. Ha ha ha. Yang Dingtian is already a pig waiting to be slaughtered. His wife and mother-in-law are already prostitutes waiting to be sold. The end of Cloud Sky City has arrived, and he actually gave me the extermination order. He actually wants to exterminate my Autumn Water Sword faction, ha 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 ha. Of all the sarcastic and laughable things in the world, is there any better? Suddenly, everyone present laughed wildly again. Complete sarcasm, complete ridicule. Almost everyone used the most vicious and contemptuous words to attack Yang Dingtian and Cloud Sky City. After laughing, Qiu Fengwu suddenly raised his head and said, "Come, chop off this envoy's head and let my wedding see blood. Then, send the headless corpse to Cloud Sky City and tell Yang Dingtian. Wash his neck clean and let me behead him. Wash his wife and mother-in-law clean and wait for our righteous crusade and righteous favor." Suddenly, a few experts stepped forward, grabbed Yang Dingtian's envoy, and were about to behead him. The envoy's face was cold and determined. He sneered and said, "I'm here to deliver Yang Dingtian's proclamation. I don't want to go back alive. I'm warning all of you, our city lord means what he says. You're on your own. Qiu Fengwu, you will die under my city lord's sword in the future." Ha ha ha. Qiu Fengwu laughed and said, "Yang Dingtian means what he says? Kill me. Destroy my Qiu Water Sword faction. Ha ha ha. In your dreams, I'm standing right here. Let him kill me, come and kill me." Qiu Fengwu said arrogantly. Puchi. Yang Dingtian, who was hiding behind him, suddenly thrust his sword. In an instant, it pierced Qiu Fengwu's heart. Chapter 447. Qiu Fengwu, who was drunk, lost his composure in front of everyone because of the hatred in his heart and his incomparable contempt and ridicule towards Yang Dingtian. "Kill me. Kill me. I'm standing right here. Let that Yang Dingtian come and kill me. Come and punish my Autumn Water Sword sect, stab." Suddenly, the sword pierced through his heart. No one present had the slightest reaction. They were all dead silent. Even though he was drunk, even though he was dizzy with hatred, even though Yang Dingtian was invisible in the isolated space. However, the moment the sword cut through the isolated space, Qiu Fengwu instantly felt the murderous intent even though he was still clamoring. He used the fastest time to circulate his Xian Qi to seal the sword that pierced into his heart. However, the sword was too sharp. Of course, it was nothing if it was too sharp. As long as his Xian Qi cultivation was complete, he could clamp the blade with his muscles and it could not move an inch. It was as if the blade was pinched by 2 fingers. No matter how sharp it was useless. However, when Qiu Fengwu circulated his Xian Qi, he found that his cultivation had plummeted. The Xian Qi in his Qi Si was blocked and could not flow out. His Xian meridians were blocked and his Xian Qi could not flow out. Moreover, the vigorous Xian Qi was constantly being dissolved by something. It was as if it had sunk into a quagmire and kept disappearing. He was a 5-star grandmaster, but at this moment, he was barely a grandmaster. If he was only a grandmaster, then he could not seal Yang Dingtian's sword. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's sharp sword pierced through Qiu Fengwu's heart. Killing Qiu Fengwu was the most difficult part of this operation. That was because he was a 5-star master. Even Song Chunhua, who was one of the 5, was much weaker than him. Under normal circumstances, it would take 5 people to join forces to barely kill him. However, with the help of Meng Li and Yang Dingtian's Xian skill of invisibility, it was so easy to kill Qiu Fengwu. This 5-star grandmaster, the richest man in the world, did not resist at all and died under Yang Dingtian's sword. Everyone seemed to be completely stunned by this scene. He had completely lost the reaction that he should have. In fact, Yang Dingtian was not prepared to make a move at this time, because Qiu Fengwu's cultivation had not regressed to the level of a grandmaster. However, in order to save the Cloud Sky City's envoy, Yang Dingtian had no choice but to take the risk and act in advance. Although this emissary was a nobody, he was Yang Dingtian's most fervent follower and the person that Yang Dingtian treasured the most. For his sake, Yang Dingtian had taken the risk and acted in advance. Therefore, when Yang Dingtian made his move, the flute did not play. Fortunately, the result was still good. He still successfully pierced Qiu Fengwu's heart with his sword. Qiu Fengwu, whose heart was pierced, didn't die immediately because of the circulation of qi. At first, he was in a daze, and then all the vicious abuse stopped. He looked down at the sharp sword in his chest, and then turned his head, wanting to see the appearance of killing others. Whoosh! Yang Dingtian suddenly pulled out his sword and directly chopped at Qiu Fengwu's head. Puff! The moment Yang Dingtian pulled out his sword, blood spurted out from Qiu Fengwu's heart like a fountain, shooting out several meters. Puff! The sword slashed across. Qiu Fengwu's head was directly cut off, and the blood from his neck spurted out violently. Yang Dingtian guessed that Qiu Fengwu shouldn't have such a high-level thing like the evil spirit energy. However, thinking of the horrifying scene of Wu Maji's infinite resurrection, Yang Dingtian went all out and directly cut off his head. Sect Master Qiu, I am the one who killed you. Yang Dingtian lifted his head and looked into his eyes. At this time, Qiu Fengwu's eyes even showed horror, fear, and incomparable difference. Because Yang Dingtian's sword was so fast that his brain didn't die immediately. Then, like a lamp that was blown out, Qiu Fengwu's pupils dilated directly, all the light went out, and all his expressions froze. He still died with his eyes wide open. It seemed to be a very long content. But in fact, from the beginning to the end. From Yang Dingtian piercing Qiu Fengwu's heart to cutting off his head, it didn't take more than half a second, the entire scene was still deathly silent. Because no one could react in this period of time. This was the Autumn Water Sword sect, Qiu Fengwu's base camp. Qiu Fengwu was a 5-star grandmaster, and the Autumn Water Sword sect had 3 other grandmasters. Qin Chichi also brought a grandmaster-level bodyguard. At this time, someone dared to rush into the Autumn Water Sword sect to kill Qiu Fengwu. This kind of thing was completely unimaginable. Ah! Vixen Mengli was still smart. She immediately let out a shocking scream, and then her face was full of horror. She felt her beautiful eyes roll back, and she fainted directly. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Qin Huayu, Zhu Hongxue, Song Chunhua, and the little Princess Vulture, who were hiding in the crowd, all made their moves. The Autumn Water Sword sect's great elder, Qiu Buhui. He was Qiu Fengwu's uncle, a 2-star grandmaster. Seeing that Qiu Fengwu was killed, he was the first to react. Furious, he directly pulled out his sword and rushed towards Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian looked at the old man and suddenly turned around. Pa! The million-spirit demon fire was instantly released to the extreme, through the near-emperor-level soul sword, fiercely released. At the same time, Qin Huayu's scorching sun earthly fire, Song Chuanhua's heavenly phoenix fire, and the lightning element's thunder. Zhu Hongxue's great thunder sound fire. Almost at the same time, 4 mystic flames burst out towards the Autumn Water Sword sect's great elder, Qiu Buhui. Boom! 4 mystic flames violently bombarded Qiu Buhui's body. It suddenly exploded, bursting out a dazzling light like the sun. In an instant, Qiu Buhui's body was smashed into pieces and turned into ashes. This 2-star grandmaster, before he could get close to Yang Dingtian, was blasted to death by 4 mystic flames. Not to mention a complete corpse, even complete bones could not be found. Of course, there was an extremely important person present. Qin Chichi. Yang Dingtian did not expect that Ning Wuming would not come. It was already extremely lucky that Ning Wuming did not come. Qin Chichi had actually come. Even though she had brought a master stage expert with her, she herself was almost powerless. The moment Yang Dingtian made his move, the little Princess Vulture. She suddenly flashed and directly appeared behind Qin Chichi. Then, the sharp sword that was dipped in poison was aimed at Qin Chichi's back and violently pierced it. Slash! Qin Chichi's delicate body trembled. Her delicate body was directly pierced through. Her neck jerked violently, and then a mouthful of blood spurted out from her mouth. At this moment, the Grandmaster behind her was enraged and suddenly attacked the vulture. Whoosh! In an instant, the little girl vulture disappeared from the spot. Qin Chi also disappeared at the same time. She was directly captured by the little girl. The little princess vulture grabbed Qin Chi and constantly flashed in and out of the main hall. No one could catch her at all. Qin Chi's Grandmaster bodyguard chased after her like a madman. Then, he suddenly realized that he had fallen into the encirclement of 4 people. 3 Grandmasters and one who was close to Grandmaster. Qin Chi's bodyguard was shocked. Ah! Then, he suddenly exploded with a roar. Suddenly, a strange blue light flashed in his sea of qi. He wanted to self-detonate his sea of qi and perish together with Yang Dingtian and the others. At that time, the Grandmaster Ning Yu had self-detonated her sea of qi and killed all 4 elders of the Ning clan. If Qin Chi's Grandmaster bodyguard in front of him succeeded in self-detonating, then Yang Dingtian and the other 3 would all be blown to death. Whoosh! Yang Dingtian quickly used the Devil Spirit Demon Fire Ice Sealing technique. In an instant, the Grandmaster bodyguard was frozen in place. Of course, it was only for a moment, but it was enough. Slash! 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 4 sharp swords pierced into the Grandmaster bodyguard's body and shook violently. Boom! Immediately, the Grandmaster bodyguard's body was dismembered. His entire body was torn into pieces, and he was violently sent flying. The battle was not over yet. The Autumn Water Sword sect still had 2 Grandmasters. At this time, the entire hall was in chaos. Thousands of people were in a mess. No one would help the Autumn Water Sword sect kill Yang Dingtian. Everyone was here to attend the wedding, not to help in the battle. Qiu Fengwu had always been domineering and arrogant. It was impossible for him to risk his life to help at the critical moment. Suddenly, everyone swarmed out, afraid of getting into trouble. Moreover, the 2 Grandmasters of the Autumn Water Sword sect did not make a move at all. Instead, they blended into the crowd and wanted to escape. It seemed that experts who were piled up with resources were not good enough. They did not have the courage to fight to the death. Everyone, stay where you are. Don't move, or you'll be killed without mercy. Yang Dingtian suddenly shouted. However, there were still many people who frantically fled out of the hall. Boom! Song Chunhua suddenly slashed out with her sword. The powerful heavenly phoenix fire, coupled with the lightning element, suddenly blasted out. Suddenly, the dozen people at the door were all dead on the spot. For a moment, no one dared to move. The Autumn Water Sword sect still has 2 Grandmasters. Come out! Yang Dingtian said sternly. No one stepped forward. Crash! However, everyone who was not from the Autumn Water Sword sect retreated. Even those who were not Grandmasters in the Autumn Water Sword sect all retreated. Suddenly, the remaining 2 elders of the Autumn Water Sword sect stood alone in the center. The 2 elders were shocked, and their bodies trembled as they asked, "Who are you? How dare you come to my Autumn Water Sword sect and behave atrociously?" The leader of the Tiando League, the master of the Hidden Sect, the master of the Yinyang School, and the master of Cloud Sky City, Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian said slowly, "I've already made it very clear in my declaration that the Autumn Water Sword sect colluded with foreign enemies, sold themselves to evil ways, and betrayed the Tiando League. I hereby issue a kill order. Today, of course, I've come to destroy your Autumn Water Sword sect." Everyone's faces changed dramatically. They really did not think that the one who came to kill Qiu Fengwu would be Yang Dingtian. In fact, when Qiu Fengwu was killed, everyone present thought that the murderer was certainly an expert sent by Qin Wanchou because only Qin Wanchou had the motive and ability to do so. As for Yang Dingtian, of course, he had the motive. However, with his power, he could only chuckle. What was Yang Dingtian's cultivation? At most, he was a martial artist. Qiu Fengwu was a master, and there were 4 or 5 masters present. Wasn't Yang Dingtian courting death by coming to kill Qiu Fengwu? Everyone present did not have much enmity towards Yang Dingtian. It was just that they did not think highly of him. However, when Yang Dingtian's declaration was issued, they were filled with malice. They really laughed until their teeth fell out and their stomachs hurt from laughing. Yang Dingtian, who do you think you are? What ability do you have? What qualifications do you have to issue such a declaration? He even claimed to issue a kill order against the Autumn Water Sword sect and wanted everyone to draw a clear line between themselves and the Autumn Water Sword sect. Who do you think you are? You're really a toad bragging. Aren't you afraid of blowing up the sky? Therefore, when the emissary read the declaration, everyone present was really full of disdain. However, they really did not expect that Yang Dingtian would really appear and directly kill Qiu Fengwu. In a short time, he had killed 3 masters. Yang Dingtian. The remaining 2 masters of the Autumn Water Sword sect immediately hissed, You're already dead, and you still dare to be rash? Aren't you afraid that the Temple of Annihilation will tear you into pieces and kill you all? Yang Dingtian said to Qin Huayu and the others, Let's do it. Immediately, 4 people rushed up from 4 different directions. If the 2 masters of the Autumn Water Sword sect were united, they would still have the strength to fight. However, when Yang Dingtian and the other 3 rushed over, one of them pulled out his sword like a madman and charged towards Yang Dingtian. The other person buried his head and ran desperately. Whoosh 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 whoosh, the swords of Yang Dingtian and the other 3 people crazily charged towards the crazy Master Elder. This elder, who clearly had the strength of a master, did not have any order at all. He just crazily killed. In an instant. Whoosh 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 whoosh, he was stabbed countless times. Whoosh. Yang Dingtian's sharp sword slashed horizontally. A head flew straight into the sky. This Master Elder died a violent death. The last Master Elder rushed out like a madman. He ran out and was about to escape the hall. Whoosh! Yang Dingtian's demon spirit demon fire ice sealing technique. In an instant, the other party's body froze. It was only for a moment. But it was enough. Yang Dingtian and the other 3 rushed forward. Whoosh 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 whoosh, for treasured swords stabbed wildly. In an instant, the last master of the Autumn Water Sword sect was stabbed hundreds of times. His entire body was like a beehive. Blood spurted wildly, and he died a violent death. Whoosh! Yang Dingtian's sword chopped off his head. From then on, all the masters of the Autumn Water Sword sect were killed. This battle could be considered a great success. Although there were twists and turns along the way, the result was much smoother than expected. Originally, Yang Dingtian's side only had 2.5 masters and 2.5 martial venerables. On the enemy's side, there were a total of 5 masters. Therefore, the strength of Yang Dingtian's side was much weaker. Yang Dingtian was confident in winning this battle, but he felt that the price would be relatively high and there would be a lot of damage. However, for the prestige of Yang Dingtian's declaration, he had to fight. He didn't expect that this battle would be so easy. First of all, with the help of Meng Li, the most difficult, the most crucial, and the most powerful Qiu Fengwu was killed without much effort. Then, the fighting will of the masters of the Autumn Water Sword sect was really weak to the extreme. Although they were masters, their fighting will and fighting momentum were not even as good as martial venerables. This should be the evil result of cultivating experts in a greenhouse. The Autumn Water Sword sect was rich and had countless resources. Therefore, they didn't need to go out and fight desperately to cultivate. They directly used countless treasures to cultivate in the Qi condensation purification array in the northwest Qin city. Then, one by one, as if they were stimulated by hormones, they became masters. In the end, their fighting strength was completely weak. At that moment, the messenger of Cloud Sky City was still being detained by the people of the Autumn Water Sword sect. Yang Dingtian's gaze turned cold and he said, "Let go." Suddenly, the two warriors of the Autumn Water Sword sect trembled and quickly let go of the messenger. "Come here." Yang Dingtian waved his hand and said. Immediately, the warrior ran over excitedly and looked at Yang Dingtian with a fanatical gaze. He knelt down and shouted, "Greetings, City Lord. You've worked hard." Yang Dingtian helped him up. "For Cloud Sky City and the Tiando League, I'm not tired," the messenger of Cloud Sky City said loudly. "Pick up your sword. Later, we'll punish the Autumn Water Sword sect together," Yang Dingtian said. "Yes," the messenger said. Then, he pulled out his giant sword and went behind Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian's gaze was like lightning as he slowly scanned the guests in front of him. "Now, you should know that every word of my declaration is worth 1,000 gold, right?" Yang Dingtian said slowly. Everyone's faces were filled with fear as they whispered, "Yes." "In the future, do you still dare to mix with the evil ways?" Yang Dingtian asked. "We don't dare," everyone said. "Do you want to draw a clear line with the Autumn Water Sword sect?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Yes." "Very good." Yang Dingtian said indifferently, "If you want to draw a clear line, then prove it to us." Suddenly, an elder asked, "How do we prove it?" "Kill. Exterminate the Autumn Water Sword sect." Yang Dingtian said indifferently, "Kill all the direct descendants of the Autumn Water Sword sect who are 16 years old and above. Kill all the Autumn Water Sword sect's great mystic martial masters and above." Suddenly, no one dared to make a sound. "It's true that you, Yang Dingtian, are awe-inspiring, but the Autumn Water Sword sect has just joined the evil ways. It's because Ning Wuming isn't here that you're so awe-inspiring. Once Ning Wuming takes revenge, who can stand it? If we kill the Autumn Water Sword sect now and Ning Wuming takes revenge, no one will be able to live. You, Yang Dingtian, are about to be finished, and now you want to drag us down with you." Immediately, the elder said, "City Lord Yang, we're just innocent people who came to attend the wedding. We'll declare that we're drawing a clear line with the Autumn Water Sword sect and will not join the evil ways. The heavens are virtuous. If you want us to start a massacre, there's no need for that. The Battle of Armageddon is coming soon." Yang Dingtian said indifferently, "Therefore, no one is innocent. You have to kill to prove your innocence." "What if we don't kill?" the elder said indifferently. "Elder, what's your surname?" Yang Dingtian asked. "My surname is Qin. I'm City Lord Qin's uncle." The elder said indifferently and arrogantly, "Looks like City Lord Yang has to call me granduncle." Yang Dingtian stepped forward and bowed. "Yang Dingtian greets granduncle." "Well said," the elder said indifferently, "since you call me granduncle, I'll give you a few words of advice. We all sympathize with your situation. However, don't pass your misfortune on to others. Don't pass your pain on to others. This is fate that wants you to die, Yang Dingtian. Don't meddle in other people's business." "Yes, granduncle, do you have any other advice?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Don't bother. Go back to Cloud Sky City. Eat, drink, and play." The elder said, "You don't even have to care about how the world views you. Give Yang Peipei a status and marry her officially. Then, peacefully wait for the arrival of that day. That's better than anything, isn't it?" Then, the elder said earnestly, "All right, it's time to say my words. I don't care if you listen or not, I've finished. This old man won't play along with you. Goodbye." After speaking, the elder walked out as if there was no one else around. "Elder Qin, please wait." Yang Dingtian stepped forward. "What?" Elder Qin frowned and said impatiently. "I haven't finished speaking," Yang Dingtian said. "Then speak." Elder Qin said, "Don't take too long. I still have to go back and drink tea with City Lord Qin. You asked me just now. If I don't kill the people of the Autumn Water Sword sect to prove my innocence, what will I do?" Yang Dingtian said, then I'll make it clear here. If you don't kill the Autumn Water Sword sect, then, die. Then, Yang Dingtian's huge sword slashed down at Elder Qin. Yang Dingtian, you little thief, you dare. Elder Qin hissed in anger. Slash! Yang Dingtian slashed down. This distant uncle of Qin Wancho's was directly beheaded. Then, Yang Dingtian held the old thief's head and looked at the 1,000 people present. He said indifferently, either kill the people of the Autumn Water Sword sect, or die under our swords. Instantly, everyone's faces turned pale and their bodies trembled. We can't kill them. If we kill the people of the Autumn Water Sword sect, evil ways will take revenge. Our entire family will die. Someone hissed, they only have 5 people, we have thousands. Fight them to the death. Before he finished speaking, Qin Huayu rushed in like lightning and pulled him out. His hand rose and his sword fell. Another head dripping with blood fell to the ground. Do it. Yang Dingtian said coldly. Instantly, the 1,000 people present drew their swords and began to slaughter the people of the Autumn Water Sword sect around them. In a short moment, all the people of the Autumn Water Sword sect in the main hall were killed. Then, these 1,000 people rushed out of the main hall and continued their massacre on the Autumn Water Island. Yang Dingtian suddenly flew out of the main hall and floated in the air. The entire Autumn Water Island and the Autumn Water Sword sect instantly became a sea of blood. The massacre had completely begun. Under the leadership of Song Chunhua, Qin Huayu, and Zhu Hongxue, the 1,000 guests changed their faces from honored guests to killers. The grandmasters of the Autumn Water Sword sect were all killed, and the remaining ones were even worse. The 3 of them led the 1,000 guests and swept through, crushing and slaughtering their way through. Instantly, the Autumn Water Sword sect was littered with corpses. Yang Dingtian roared in the air, all the servants and maids of the Autumn Water Sword sect can live. Gather and escape into the main hall. All those under the age of 16 can live. Gather and escape into the main hall. All those below the great mystic martial master can live and escape into the main hall. Yang Dingtian's voice fell. Instantly, countless people on the Autumn Water Island fled into the main hall. More than 2 hours later, all the martial artists above the great mystic martial master level of the Autumn Water Sword sect were killed. Thousands of heads were once again displayed for viewing in front of Tianjin Hall. The head at the top belonged to the master of the Autumn Water Sword sect, Qiu Fengwu. From this day onwards, the Autumn Water Sword sect was officially exterminated. Yang Dingtian stepped on the bloody ground and slowly came before Qin Qiqi. He said indifferently, "Young Miss Qin Qiqi, we meet again." The peerlessly beautiful Qin Qiqi, even though she was injured, still exuded an incomparably captivating charm. She lifted her beautiful face and smiled coldly at Yang Dingtian. Chapter 448. Yang Dingtian, that Ningyu who appeared in West Prefecture City is you, right? Qin Qiqi sneered. In order to exterminate the Autumn Water Sword sect and make my husband, Ning Wuming, not attend the wedding, you actually used such a big trump card in advance. It's really not worth it. You originally planned to use this trump card to kill my husband and exterminate the Ning clan in the South Sea, right? It's really a pity that you used it now. Yang Dingtian couldn't help but be slightly startled. Ningyu? Who is that? Ning Wuming came to the Autumn Water Sword sect for the wedding? Aren't you overestimating Qiu Fengwu too much? He's just Qin Wancho's dog. Ning Wuming represents Li Ming. He'll come to the wedding? What a joke. In fact, I'm already very surprised that you actually came to this wedding. Do you have a good relationship with my Mingli? Yang Dingtian, don't pretend to be crazy and pretentious. Qin Qiqi said, that Ningyu is you. The real Ningyu is already dead, but she left behind an illusion mask. This mask fell into your hands. So, that Ningyu in West Prefecture City is you. By the way, that famous prostitute who impersonated Ningyu in West Prefecture City is actually our spy. She said that this Ningyu thing is very big, unbelievably big. Yang Dingtian, I know that you're very talented. Yang Dingtian said disdainfully, alright, if you say it's me, then it's me. It's not important. What's important is that you're in my hands. Seeing Yang Dingtian's attitude, Qin Shiqi couldn't figure it out. If Ningyu was really Yang Dingtian, then he must be very afraid of this identity being exposed. However, he didn't seem to care at all. He really didn't seem to know who Ningyu was. Wasn't Yang Dingtian afraid of Ningyu's identity being exposed? Of course, he was afraid. This was his biggest trump card to destroy the Ning clan. Qin Shiqi continued probing. What you might not know is that when Wu Maji heard about Ningyu's appearance, he immediately went over. Her feelings for Ninghua were unforgettable. Moreover, it was precisely because she went that my husband went. Otherwise, you'll be the one to die today. Why was Wu Maji so affectionate towards Ninghua? This was indeed good news for Yang Dingtian. Ning Wuming's obsession with Wu Maji was even better news. In the future, he might be able to use this to kill Ning Wuming. However, Yang Dingtian didn't seem to mind the fact that Wu Maji was deeply in love with Ningyu. Instead, he said indifferently, that's strange. I've seen Wu Maji before. She's very beautiful and charming. It could be said that it was the best in the world. But you're not bad yourself. Ning Wuming has already gotten you, yet he still shows such affection for Wu Maji. Isn't he afraid that you'll be unhappy? You're such a scary woman. Now, Yang Dingtian's face was even more blurred. It was impossible to tell whether he was impersonating Ninghua or not. In fact, Yang Dingtian had done a lot of things to prevent this trump card from being exposed. He had taken a huge risk. After leaving West Prefecture City, he went straight to Zhao Mu and gave him Ninghua's illusion mask. Then, when Yang Dingtian destroyed the Autumn Water Sword sect today, Zhao Mu would wear the mask and impersonate Ninghua and appear in a brothel in the Bedlam lands. At that time, Yang Dingtian and Ninghua would be thousands of miles apart. Perhaps no one would suspect that the two of them were the same person. Alright, you've said what you need to say. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, you killed countless righteous sisters in the Sky Phoenix Pavilion. You harmed Pavilion Master Duan Ruyan. You slandered me for causing Bing Ling's death. You made the Tiando League suppress me. All of these were your sins. So, I swore in front of everyone that I would put you to death by 1,000 cuts. I thought I would have to wait a long time for this day. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me today. Qin Shiqi sneered, what do you want? Humiliate me first and then kill me? Make Ning Wuming wear a big green hat? Humiliate you? You're too sinful. I'm afraid I'll be poisoned, Yang Dingtian said indifferently, I've said it before. I'll put you to death by 1,000 cuts in front of everyone. You'll kill me. You won't get anything. Qin Shiqi smiled faintly, even if you kill me, you won't be able to change anything. You'll only make my husband more furious. When that time comes, not a single person, not a blade of grass, and not a tree will be left in your cloud sky city. Your wife, your lover, and your beautiful mother-in-law will suffer the most terrible and evil humiliation in this world. They will suffer a fate worse than death. Instead, you can use me to make a deal with my husband. I'm sorry. I don't make any deals with the dogs of evil ways. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, when the battle with the evil ways began, I've already prepared for the most terrible ending. Then, Yang Dingtian lifted the beautiful Qin Shiqi in his hand and walked towards the top of the hall. At this moment, everyone's gaze was on him, on Qin Shiqi in his hand. Yang Dingtian lifted Qin Shiqi up high and said, everyone, look carefully. This is the wife of Ning Wuming, whom you all regard as a celestial being. Ning Wuming, the representative of evil ways. You all tremble when you hear his name. In your hearts, he is an incomparably powerful figure who has decided the fate of countless people. You don't even dare to be his enemy. Just hearing his name makes you tremble. Qin Chi, this woman whose hands are stained with countless sins, has also become the source of your nightmares. She is also an important figure who makes you tremble and not dare to breathe. She swept through the southwest continent, destroyed the Sky Phoenix Pavilion, and killed millions of people. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, however, she is in my hands today. She might be incomparably beautiful and delicate. Although she is extremely beautiful, she is still in my hands like a dead dog. Look, there is nothing to be afraid of. Everyone couldn't help but look at Qin Chi. That's right. She looked so pathetic. This legendary demoness didn't look scary at all. Evil ways are not invincible. Yang Dingtian said loudly, evil ways are not as scary as you think. Straighten your backs. For yourselves, for the primal chaos world, start fighting against evil ways. And don't worry, I, Yang Dingtian, will always be in front of you. When I die, it won't be too late for you to despair. After saying that, Yang Dingtian suddenly pressed Qin Chi to kneel on the ground. He placed his sharp sword on Qin Chi's neck and said, Qin Chi asked me not to kill her just now. She said that this would anger Ning Wuming. She asked me to let her go and use her life to make a deal with Ning Wuming. I have said that I, Yang Dingtian, will never compromise with evil ways. I will never make any deal with Ning Wuming, a lackey of evil ways. Today is the day Qin Chi dies. Yang Dingtian suddenly slashed down with his sword. Stop! Suddenly, a woman's cold voice rang out. Then, an old woman with wounds all over her body slowly walked out with Qin Mingli as a hostage. A sharp sword was placed on Mingli's neck. Let go of Qin Chi's wife. Otherwise, your woman will die. The old woman's eyes emitted a strange light as she said coldly to Yang Dingtian. It was unknown when Mingli had fallen into her hands. At this moment, Mingli said to Yang Dingtian, husband, this old woman was very kind just now. She had a miserable life in the Autumn Water Sword sect. Therefore, she is very grateful for what you have done. I don't know why, but she suddenly became evil. He. The old woman laughed coldly and evilly. Then, she said to Yang Dingtian eerily, let go of Qin Chi's wife. Otherwise, your woman will die immediately. Yang Dingtian looked at the old woman and his eyes narrowed. He reached behind his back and executed the Devil Spirit Demon Fire Ice Sealing technique. In an instant, all of the evil old woman's movements were completely frozen. Her entire body could not move at all. Swoosh! Song Chunhua rushed forward at lightning speed. With a fierce slash of her sword, she directly chopped off the evil old woman's head. Husband! Mengli, who was still in shock, immediately pounced on Yang Dingtian and threw herself into Yang Dingtian's embrace. Husband, just now, I really thought that I would never see you again, Qin Mingli said coquettishly. Yang Dingtian was stunned. It seemed that only Yan Yan would say such words. Qin Mingli was a bold and wild woman. She did not like to say such delicate words. Her coquettishness was a completely different way. For example, my husband's throat is swollen and painful. I won't be able to swallow any food for a few days and can only eat porridge. Or, oh my God, my tongue can't feel anything. Now, everything I eat has no taste. Oh, no, it's not that there's no taste. It's just that there's only that taste. Her coquettishness was very subtle and evil. Just as Yang Dingtian was in shock, a sinister look suddenly flashed across Qin Mingli's beautiful eyes. The dagger in her hand that was stained with poison suddenly stabbed towards the back of Yang Dingtian's neck. Go to hell, Yang Dingtian. Qin Mingli's voice suddenly became cold and vicious. The poisonous dagger stabbed towards Qin Mingli at the speed of lightning. Pow! Yang Dingtian's mystic qi burst out and sent Qin Mingli flying. At this moment, Song Chuanhua's eyes were filled with anger. She stabbed towards Qin Mingli at the speed of lightning. Song Chunhua was only loyal to Yang Dingtian. Whoever hurt Yang Dingtian, no matter who that person was, she would kill them without caring about the reason. Chunhua, hold on! Yang Dingtian shouted. Then, she dashed out at lightning speed and stood between Yang Dingtian and Qin Mingli. Suddenly, a terrifying ray of light flashed across Song Chunhua's beautiful eyes. She stabbed her sword ferociously towards Yang Dingtian's throat. Yang Dingtian was shocked. Song Chunhua's current cultivation was even higher than Yang Dingtian's. Yang Dingtian could not block this attack at all. As for Qin Huayu and Zhu Hongxue, they could not rush over to help in time. In an instant, Song Chunhua's sharp sword with terrifying energy pierced towards Yang Dingtian's throat. Suddenly, Song Chunhua's beautiful eyes burst out with an intense red glow. She triggered the mystic fire and mystic qi and her body shook violently. Poof! Chunhua spat out blood and her body flew out. Her sword slashed across Yang Dingtian's chest. Poof! Yang Dingtian spat out blood and flew out as well. Everyone was extremely shocked. They did not know what had happened at all. Qin Mingli was obviously Yang Dingtian's woman. Why would she suddenly turn hostile and assassinate Yang Dingtian? As for Song Chunhua, she was obviously the most loyal subordinate of Yang Dingtian. Why would she assassinate Yang Dingtian? However, she was clearly going to pierce Yang Dingtian's throat. In the end, she destroyed her own body and gave up on killing Yang Dingtian. Just as Yang Dingtian flew out, he saw Qin Chichi kneeling on the ground. Her beautiful eyes released an extremely charming and evil gaze. Yang Dingtian's heart skipped a beat and he almost lost his consciousness. Fortunately, he had been baptized by Wu Maji's demon spirit eyes and immediately regained his consciousness. Everything was Qin Chichi's doing. Her eyes were even scarier than Wu Maji's. Wu Maji's demon spirit eyes could only make people lose their consciousness and even make them ferocious. However, Qin Chichi's eyes could directly control people's consciousness. Just now, she was the one who controlled the kind old woman and held Qin Mingli hostage. After Song Chunhua killed the old woman, she controlled Qin Mingli and threw herself into Yang Dingtian's arms to assassinate him. Yang Dingtian pushed Qin Mingli away. Song Chunhua attacked Qin Mingli and Yang Dingtian quickly came to her rescue. Qin Chichi controlled Song Chunhua and directly killed Yang Dingtian. It was also because Song Chunhua's willpower was too shocking. She sacrificed everything and destroyed her own body to move away from Yang Dingtian's sword. In the end, she vomited blood and was severely injured. As for Yang Dingtian, he was hit in the chest and was severely injured. This Qin Chichi was too scary and too shocking. Even though he had no strength to truss a chicken, he could directly use his eyes to control people's minds. This kind of ability made people's hair stand on end and shudder in fear. Everyone, close your eyes. Don't look at Qin Chichi's eyes. Yang Dingtian shouted. Instantly, everyone hurriedly closed their eyes. Although they were not completely on Yang Dingtian's side, no one was willing to be controlled by Qin Chichi and do something scary. Yang Dingtian did not close his eyes. As long as he did not look at this demoness, it would be fine. He slowly walked to Qin Chichi and said coldly, "Demoness, you are really scary and evil." Hee hee. Qin Chichi smiled faintly. However, what other tricks can you play now? I won't give you a chance. Yang Dingtian said, "You can die in peace. Go and harm others in hell." Then, Yang Dingtian wanted to stab her to death. Suddenly, Qin Mingli walked to Yang Dingtian's side and whispered, "Husband, she is not Qin Chichi." Yang Dingtian could not help but be stunned. Qin Mingli said, "Although I have not been in contact with Qin Chichi for long, her aura is too unique. Although this woman looks exactly the same as Qin Chichi, she is not." Of course, Yang Dingtian believed Mingli's words. At this moment, Qin Chichi let out a complacent smile and said coldly, "Yang Dingtian, you pitiful worm. Do you really think you can kill me? Do you really think I will risk my life in the Autumn Water Sword sect? Qin Chi had just opened her mouth when Yang Dingtian immediately used his celestial qi to cover the surroundings, preventing her words from being heard by others. As Qin Chi spoke, her entire face started to change. Her entire body also started to change. Her incomparably beautiful face started to become less beautiful. Although she was still a one-in-a-million beauty and was still somewhat similar to Qin Chi, she was no longer Qin Chi's soul-stirring beauty and delicateness. The curves of her delicate body were still graceful, but they were no longer dreamy and picturesque. Yang Dingtian, this is only my substitute. I don't know how many substitutes I have. They look somewhat similar to me. All of them had their souls extracted and became walking corpses. My spirit can enter any body at any time and control their every move. It is no different from the real me. Moreover, even if there is a puppet between us, I can still use my eyes to control everyone around me. Yang Dingtian, you pitiful worm. I have countless lives, and I can never be killed. You don't even know where my real body is. You have no hope. You will definitely lose. Yang Dingtian, goodbye. 20 days later, I will lead an unimaginably strong army and kill every single person in Cloud Heaven City. You have no hope of winning. Not even a little bit. Goodbye. Ha ha ha. Qin Chi's soul-stirring evil voice became softer and softer as it faded away. The eyes of the young female puppet in front of him gradually lost all their luster. She had completely turned into a walking corpse. Yang Dingtian's gaze turned cold. Swish. 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 Yang Dingtian stabbed a few times and directly destroyed the puppet's appearance. He then said to everyone here, in order to show that you have broken with the evil ways, each of you will step forward and stab this demoness Qin Chi once. Then, all of you will have a share of the credit for killing Qin Chi. Those who dare not do so will all be killed. An hour later, in the midst of incomparable fear and trembling. Swish! 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 Countless swords stabbed towards Qin Chi's body in despair and fear. Chapter 449. Yang Dingtian took out a long spear and stabbed Qin Chi's corpse into the spearhead. Just like that, he used her corpse as a banner and stabbed it in front of the Autumn Water Sword sect's head. Then, he looked at the old, young, and women of the Autumn Water Sword sect and said, "Don't stay here. There should be a boat at the pier beside the island. Take the boat and leave. Someone will occupy the Autumn Water Island soon. Staying here is a dead end." With that, Yang Dingtian moved to the side and let the survivors pass. Inside, there were about 2,000 to 3,000 people. Most of them were women, and a small portion of them were young boys. Were there any accidental deaths in the extermination of the Autumn Water Sword sect? Of course there were. Were there any fish that escaped the net? Of course there were. But that was not important. What was important was that the Autumn Water Sword sect was completely exterminated. That was enough. That was enough to intimidate the world. Yang Dingtian clearly saw that there were a few handsome youths who looked at Yang Dingtian with undisguised hatred. Especially the youth in the center. He should have the highest status. His exact age was unknown, but he should be around 16. He was almost 170 centimeters tall. It was just that his face was slightly immature. After coming to the main hall, his gaze never left Yang Dingtian. There was undisguised hatred in his eyes, as well as a resolute gaze. Beside him, a beautiful middle-aged woman desperately begged in a low voice, trying to pull his gaze away. However, the youth ignored her. Song Chunhua frowned, drew his sword, and walked over. Yang Dingtian waved at the youth and said, "You, come here." Instantly, the middle-aged woman's expression changed. She quickly knelt on the ground and cried, "City Lord Yang, I beg you. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. He's still young and doesn't know any better. He offended you. I'll atone for his sins. No matter what you want me to do, I'll do it. Please don't kill him. The youth looked at Yang Dingtian arrogantly. He walked over and looked at Yang Dingtian without fear. His mother immediately followed, kneeling in front of Yang Dingtian and begging. She even pulled the boy to kneel in front of Yang Dingtian. Who are you? Yang Dingtian asked. Qiu Qingyu, my father is Qiu Fengwu, the young man said. As soon as he finished speaking, the middle-aged woman's face turned ashen. She kowtowed desperately until her forehead started bleeding. Madam, you are? Yang Dingtian asked. I am Qiu Fengwu's wife, Madam Li. The middle-aged woman said. Then, she raised her head and revealed her beautiful face. City Lord Yang, my husband was killed. That is his sin. I don't blame him. However, this is his only child. I beg you not to lower yourself to his level. I beg you to spare his life. As long as you spare his life, I'll do anything. I'll even follow you as a servant. Mother, shut up. Don't throw away the dignity of our autumn water island. Don't throw away our face, the young man said angrily. Song Chunhua walked up and said indifferently, Sect Master, if you don't remove the roots, they'll grow again. Yang Dingtian looked at the young man and said, You must hate me very much right now and want to kill me for revenge. Of course. You can kill me now. Otherwise, in 10 or 20 years, I'll kill your entire family to avenge my father. Qiu Qingyu said, You can kill me, but don't expect me to kneel to you. I don't lack pride and integrity. Slap. Yang Dingtian gave him a tight slap. Qiu Qingyu's head flew out. Half of her face swelled up and blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. The pride and backbone of a greenhouse are nothing. This isn't pride or integrity. At most, it's the arrogance and ignorance of a rich family's child. Yang Dingtian said indifferently, a real man's pride and integrity wouldn't let his mother stand in front of him. He wouldn't be indifferent to his mother kneeling and instead berate and humiliate her. Your so-called pride and integrity, I'll slap you 5 times to make you cry and kneel. Yang Dingtian continued, I'll slap you to make you remember and increase the hatred in your heart. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll forget in 2 or 3 months. Then, Yang Dingtian said to Song Chunhua, Bring this mother and son and give them to Qin Wanqiu. He'll like them. Yang Dingtian faced over 1,000 wedding guests. At the same time, he was the executioner of the Autumn Water Sword sect. You must be worried that I'll bring you to Cloud Heaven City to fight. Or use today's matter to force you to return to your respective sects and persuade your sect masters to join my side. Yang Dingtian said. Everyone couldn't help but reveal a sure expression. There were over 1,000 people present. Although there weren't any important figures. Almost all the factions within 3,000 miles were included. Yang Dingtian would definitely use this opportunity to coerce and rope them into his war chariot. Don't worry, I won't do that. Yang Dingtian smiled faintly and said, I only ask you to do 2 things when you return. First, tell everyone everything that happened here. Including the Autumn Water Sword sect's annihilation, including us cutting Qin Chi into pieces. The second thing is for your family and sect to remain neutral in the upcoming war. That's right, just neutral. Alright, everyone, disperse. Yang Dingtian said. Instantly, the 1,000 people present revealed an expression of disbelief. Yang Dingtian let them go so easily. These 1,000 people were a rare commodity worth hoarding. He let them go just like that. Then, someone tried to run away. Seeing that Yang Dingtian and the others didn't stop them at all, everyone immediately ran towards the sea. They weren't willing to stay here for even a second. The annihilation of the Autumn Water Sword sect wasn't much. The key was the sword that pierced Qin Chi's body. That was terrifying. Now, they only wanted to escape far away from this place. After all the representatives within 3,000 miles had run away, Song Chunhua said, "Sect Master, it's too easy to let them run away. We can use them as hostages to force the factions behind them to submit. Let some of them join our war chariot." Yang Dingtian shook his head and said disdainfully, "These factions have all been scared out of their wits by evil ways. They're useless now." Then, Yang Dingtian looked at the few people and said, "There's a joke. It's said that there's a sect that's tough on the outside but weak on the inside. If he becomes your enemy, you need to use 10,000 soldiers to guard against him. If he becomes your ally, you need 100,000 soldiers to protect him. If he's neutral, that's the best result." Then, Yang Dingtian said, "Actually, their greatest use is to spread the word of what happened today. Spread the fear, smear this smear of blood of the Autumn Water Sword sect on my declaration." Everyone nodded. "All right, it's time to leave. There will be a large army entering the Autumn Water Island soon. I hope Qin Wanchou can be faster than them," Yang Dingtian said. Then, Yang Dingtian hugged Qin Mingli. Song Chunhua carried Qiu Fengwu's wife, Madame Li, while Qin Huayu carried Qiu Qingyu and flew towards the west. As expected, when Yang Dingtian and the others flew more than 10,000 miles away from the Autumn Water Island, they saw a mighty fleet on the sea. This was the northwest Qin city's fleet. It was densely packed, covering the sky and earth, spanning several miles. Qin City had mobilized tens of thousands of people. It seemed that this time, he was going to swallow the entire Autumn Water Island into his stomach. When they saw Yang Dingtian and the others, the people on the fleet immediately pointed to the sky. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Then, countless crystal crossbow bolts flew into the sky and shot towards Yang Dingtian and the others. Of course, the crossbow bolts couldn't hit Yang Dingtian and the others. This was only Qin Wanchou's declaration. Just as Yang Dingtian didn't care and was about to fly away, suddenly, a figure flew into the sky. Cold and elegant, mature and charming. It was Qiu Ruhan, Qin Huayu's mother in name. It wasn't Qin Wanchou, but Qiu Ruhan. "Yang Dingtian, it's really you. What did you do to the Autumn Water Sword sect?" Qiu Ruhan said coldly. Yang Dingtian sneered, "The Autumn Water Sword sect colluded with evil ways and betrayed the Tiando League. I've already completely annihilated it. All the sinners under Qiu Fengwu were killed. Their heads were placed in front of the main hall." Immediately, Qiu Ruhan's beautiful eyes revealed bone-deep hatred and resentment. Her beautiful face instantly turned pale. She looked at Yang Dingtian and said sternly, "You lowly dog, you actually killed my brother and annihilated my Autumn Water Sword sect. Today, I'll tear you to pieces." After speaking, Qiu Ruhan's hair instantly turned blue and grew past her waist. Her sharp nails suddenly grew half a foot long and pounced towards Yang Dingtian with incomparable ferocity. Yang Dingtian's gaze turned cold. He glanced at Qin Huayu and said coldly, "Kill her." "Yes!" Several people shouted in unison. Qin Huayu looked at Yang Dingtian and wanted to say something but stopped. "What's wrong?" Yang Dingtian asked. "No, nothing," Qin Huayu said. Yang Dingtian said, "Everyone, activate the mystic fire to the extreme and blast Qiu Ruhan to death." "Yes!" The 5 people suddenly drew their swords and activated all their mystic qi and mystic fire. Qin Huayu hesitated slightly and also activated his mystic fire. However, his mystic fire was full of flickering and hesitation. The beautiful and mature Qiu Ruhan rushed over like lightning and instantly arrived in front of him. The 5-clawed ice sword suddenly stabbed towards Yang Dingtian. Swoosh! Yang Dingtian suddenly slashed down with his sword. In his right hand, the demon spirit mystic fire icebound technique was quickly executed. In an instant, Qiu Ruhan's body was frozen in place less than a foot in front of Yang Dingtian. Of course, it was not even half a second. Clang! Qiu Ruhan's 10 long nails were suddenly cut horizontally. Then, four mystic fires, together with thunder and lightning, violently struck her. Qiu Ruhan was a 3-star grandmaster. However, under the bombardment of 4 mystic fires, she would at least be seriously injured, not to mention die. Boom! 4 mystic fires suddenly condensed on Qiu Ruhan's body. Then, Yang Dingtian's sword suddenly stabbed towards Qiu Ruhan's heart at lightning speed. He wanted to kill her with one blow. This time, Qiu Ruhan would definitely die. She was only a 3-star grandmaster. She would definitely not be able to defeat 5 experts and 4 mystic fires. Boom! 4 mystic fires suddenly condensed in the air and condensed on Qiu Ruhan's body. Then, they fiercely exploded. Like a small nuclear bomb, it burst out a dazzling light in the air. No, it was even more dazzling than the sun's light. Qiu Ruhan's beautiful body was completely shattered and turned into ashes. Although she was a 3-star grandmaster, she probably could not withstand the bombardment of 4 mystic fires. Especially 3 grandmasters. He did not expect that the deal with Qin Wanchou would end prematurely. Yang Dingtian really did not expect that Qiu Ruhan would suddenly appear in front of him. Or, it could be that Qiu Ruhan immediately led the army to Autumn Water Island after receiving the news that the Autumn Water Sword sect was in danger. She wanted to save the Autumn Water Sword sect. Even if she could not save it, she wanted to seize the Autumn Water Island before Qin Wanchou did. However, she did not expect to meet Yang Dingtian head-on and lose her life here. However, Yang Dingtian suddenly felt that something was wrong. Qiu Ruhan seemed to have died too easily. She was such a treacherous and cunning person. How could she die so easily? Then, Yang Dingtian remembered that just now, besides the bombardment of the 4 mystic fires, Yang Dingtian still stabbed toward Qiu Ruhan's breasts. However, there was nothing there. It was as if he had stabbed the air. Yang Dingtian's expression changed and he shouted, "Not good. Qin Huayu, be careful." As soon as he finished speaking, Puchi! Qin Huayu's chest was suddenly pierced. 3 sharp blue nails pierced through Qin Huayu's chest. Qiu Ruhan's beautiful figure appeared directly behind Qin Huayu. Her beautiful face revealed a cold smile at Yang Dingtian. Ah! Yang Dingtian and the others roared in pain. Their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Then, they rushed toward Qiu Ruhan. Just now, the one who rushed toward Yang Dingtian was only Qiu Ruhan's shadow. It was just an illusion. The real her had already appeared behind Qin Huayu. She wanted to kill Qin Huayu and take away Qiu Qingyu in his arms. Qin Huayu looked at the sharp claws in front of his chest in disbelief. Although he had never objected to killing Qiu Ruhan, he was absolutely silent every time this matter was mentioned. After all, Qiu Ruhan was his mother in name. He really couldn't do it. However, he couldn't stop Yang Dingtian either. Therefore, he was almost always immersed in pain, entanglement, and endless guilt. Even if Yang Dingtian told him that his biological mother had indirectly died at the hands of Qiu Ruhan, Qin Huayu still couldn't untie the knot in his heart. However, he never thought that even though he couldn't do it, Qiu Ruhan could. The first thing she did was kill Qin Huayu. Seeing Qiu Ruhan succeed, Qiu Qingyu, who was in Qin Huayu's grasp, shouted excitedly, "Auntie, auntie, kill them! Kill them! Cut them into 1,000 pieces! Cut Yang Dingtian into 1,000 pieces! He killed my father! He even hit me! I lost 4 teeth! Kill him!" At this moment, Qin Huayu suddenly used the last of his strength to throw Qiu Qingyu towards Yang Dingtian. He! Qiu Ruhan sneered. She was about to pull out her claws and fly over to grab Qiu Qingyu. Yang Dingtian was shocked. He quickly used the demon spirit fiendish flame ice technique. He wanted to instantly freeze Qiu Ruhan and take Qiu Qingyu back. However, it was useless. The icebound technique had no effect on Qiu Ruhan, who was talented in the ice element. Of course, it was also because Qiu Ruhan was a 3-star master. Her cultivation was even higher than Yang Dingtian's. Just as Qiu Ruhan was about to fly over to snatch Qiu Qingyu. However, she never thought that Qin Huayu would use all of his Xian Qi to lock the claws in his body. Then, his body suddenly slammed backwards, allowing Qiu Ruhan's arm to pierce through his body. Then, he tightly grabbed Qiu Ruhan's wrist, not letting her escape. Hee, mother, let's die together. Qin Huayu said with a faint smile. At the same time, little Princess Vulture flashed and grabbed Qiu Qingyu in the air. Swish 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 swish. The little girl ruthlessly slashed 4 times, chopping off all of Qiu Qingyu's hands and feet. Then, with tears in her eyes, she said, "Bitch, let go of Qin Huayu." Ah! Seeing her hands and feet cut off, Qiu Qingyu let out an earth-shattering scream. Qiu Ruhan suddenly placed her sword on Qin Huayu's neck and coldly said to Yang Dingtian, "Let go of my nephew or I'll kill Qin Huayu." Yang Dingtian said indifferently, "Your son can't compare to your nephew." "Humph? Son?" Qiu Ruhan said coldly, "He's just a bitch's bastard. What does it have to do with me?" "Brother, don't say any more." Qin Huayu's mouth continued to bleed as he said, "It's my fault. Qiu Ruhan knows a Xian skill called Demonic Illusory Shadow. I knew about it. Before the battle, I wanted to tell you but I didn't, so she succeeded." Immediately, Yang Dingtian's mouth twitched. Bastard Qin Wanchou, muddle-headed Qin Huayu. Where did the ruthless and decisive Qin Huayu go? He didn't want to kill Qiu Ruhan, so he didn't say anything. If Yang Dingtian knew that this woman had such an abnormal Xian skill, he would definitely be on guard. Not to mention killing her, at least he wouldn't be taken advantage of and wouldn't let Qin Huayu fall into her hands. This woman was truly ruthless and vicious. Among the 5 people present, she didn't kill Vulture, who had the weakest cultivation, but Qin Huayu. Because she knew in her heart that Qin Huayu didn't have any killing intent towards her and was full of guilt and weakness when facing her. He was the easiest to kill. No matter what, Qin Huayu was still a master-level expert. How could he not dodge a sneak attack from behind? Why? Wasn't it because he had killed Qiu Ruhan? His heart had been in a mess, and he hadn't been on guard at all. Yang Dingtian, hand over my nephew, quickly. Qiu Ruhan said coldly, "I'll count to 5. If you don't hand him over, I'll kill him." 5. 4. 3. Suddenly, Qin Huayu said, "Qiu Ruhan, don't waste your time. You can kill me immediately because I'm going to explode my Qi ocean again. I'm going to take you down with me." Instantly, Qiu Ruhan's expression changed. She saw a strange light on Qin Huayu's face and was horrified. "The current situation is my fault. I won't let myself become a hostage and put my comrades in danger," Qin Huayu said indifferently. He was still exploding his Qi ocean. Yang Dingtian's expression changed. Whoosh! He suddenly summoned the Demon Spirit Demon Fire Icebound technique and froze all of Qin Huayu's movements and his Xian Qi. "Quickly knock him out!" Yang Dingtian shouted sternly. Qiu Ruhan slapped Qin Huayu and knocked him out. Yang Dingtian quickly threw over a holy water pill and said, "Feed it to him." Qiu Ruhan received the holy water elixir and was startled. She then giggled delicately and said, "Yang Dingtian, you care so much about his life and death? If this is the case, then things will be easier." Qiu Ruhan calmly put the holy water pill into Qin Huayu's mouth and said, "Hand over my nephew Qiu Qingyu immediately. Otherwise, I'll cut off Qin Huayu's arms and legs in front of you and then cut off his head." "Okay," Yang Dingtian said. There was no bargaining. "Chunhua, throw Mrs. Li over," Yang Dingtian said. Song Chunhua threw Mrs. Li to Yang Dingtian. "I'll hand you over to Qiu Ruhan. I'll have to rely on you for the rest of the days." Yang Dingtian said indifferently, "Your son's arms and legs have been cut off, but they can be reattached." However, it will greatly affect his cultivation. However, isn't this a good thing for your son? I know. Mrs. Lee said with tears in her eyes, I don't want him to be strong, but safe. This Cho Ruhan is on the side of the evil ways. You don't want your son for family, but to make him a puppet of the evil ways and control Autumn Water Island. They will use a very evil method to increase your son's cultivation, but he will become a devil. Yang Dingtian said, I originally wanted to hand you and your son over to Qin Wancho. Although you'll still be a puppet, at least you'll be safe. I know. Mrs. Lee said. Then, you're on your own now. Yang Dingtian said. Then, Yang Dingtian said to Cho Ruhan, I agree to the exchange. In order to show my sincerity, I'll hand over your sister-in-law, Mrs. Lee, to you. Then, Yang Dingtian gently threw Mrs. Lee to Cho Ruhan. Cho Ruhan looked at Mrs. Lee with disdain and contempt, but she still pulled Mrs. Lee behind her and said, Now, throw my nephew, Cho Qingyu, to me. Yang Dingtian said, Return Qin Huayu to us first, and then we'll hand over Cho Qingyu. Everyone in the world knows that I, Yang Dingtian, am a man of my words, but you, Cho Ruhan, may not be. No. Cho Ruhan sneered, There's no room for discussion. Hand over my nephew first, and then I'll return Qin Huayu to you. Yang Dingtian said, What if I hand over Cho Qingyu, but you still don't return Qin Huayu and continue to use him as a hostage to force us to agree to other things? What should we do then? Cho Ruhan smiled faintly and said, You have to take this risk. From her words, she didn't deny the possibility that she would break the agreement at any time. Then, Cho Ruhan smiled and said, Yang Dingtian, you care so much about Qin Huayu. If you didn't care about him, you wouldn't be in such a passive position. Then, Cho Ruhan placed the sharp sword on Qin Huayu's wrist and said, Yang Dingtian, my patience is limited. I'll count to 3. If you don't throw my nephew over, I'll cut off one of Qin Huayu's hands. 3, 2, 1. Cho Ruhan suddenly slashed down and cut off one of Qin Huayu's hands. Yang Dingtian's lips trembled and he bit them until they bled. As for the little girl, Ling Jiu, tears were already gushing out of her eyes. She was gnashing her teeth, filled with hatred towards Cho Ruhan. Yang Dingtian, I know you have the holy water pill. Qin Huayu's hand is cut off. It's not a big deal. After you reattach it, you can use the holy water pill to heal it. Cho Ruhan said, But, what if I destroy this severed hand? Your holy water pill can't make him grow a new hand, can it? With that, Cho Ruhan pressed the sword on Qin Huayu's severed hand. I'm going to start counting down again. If you don't throw my nephew over at 3, I'll completely destroy Qin Huayu's severed hand. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I agree. Yang Dingtian grabbed Cho Ruhan's severed hand and leg and threw her at Cho Ruhan. Cho Ruhan quickly pulled Cho Qingyu behind her. At this moment, several experts on the fleet flew into the air and protected Cho Ruhan in the middle. Yang Dingtian said, I've already let Cho Qingyu go. Now it's your turn to let Qin Huayu go. Ha ha ha. Cho Ruhan sneered, Yang Dingtian, you're so naive. Do you think I'll let him go? You're so naive that it's stupid. Now, I'm going to make a new request. I want your soul sword that's close to the Emperor grade. Throw it to me, or I'll destroy Qin Huayu. At this moment, Song Chunhua and Zhu Hongxue were so angry that they were about to explode. I'm going to start counting down again. 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, a poisoned dagger stabbed into Cho Ruhan's back. It was Madame Li. Her face was trembling in fear as she stabbed the dagger into Cho Ruhan's back. Her cultivation was very weak. Even if Cho Ruhan was unprepared, she couldn't hurt Cho Ruhan. Because the moment the dagger touched Cho Ruhan's body, it was immediately repelled by a huge amount of Xian energy. It couldn't pierce Cho Ruhan's flesh at all. However, the moment the dagger touched Cho Ruhan's skin, a terrifying poison spread out and disintegrated all the Xian veins that the dagger touched. Ah! Qiu Ruhan roared in anger. All the Xian energy in her body suddenly burst out. Bang! Madame Li's body flew out like a piece of straw as she vomited blood in the air. Why did she sneak attack Qiu Ruhan? Because Yang Dingtian told her in a low voice that Qiu Qingyu's body was poisoned. If she didn't do that, Qiu Qingyu would quickly explode. For her son, Madame Li was willing to do anything. So even though she was very scared, she still stabbed at the unprepared Qiu Ruhan. Madame Li couldn't hurt Qiu Ruhan. She could only create an opportunity to attack. However, it was enough. The little princess vulture instantly flashed and carried Qin Huayu away. Then, she flashed away quickly. Immediately after, Yang Dingtian, Zhu Hongxue, and Song Chunhua rushed towards Qiu Ruhan with anger that soared to the sky. Whoosh 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 whoosh, in a moment, they killed all the revered martial artists around Qiu Ruhan. Then, they surrounded Qiu Ruhan tightly. Bitch, what kind of horrible ending will you receive next? Take a guess. Yang Dingtian said coldly. Chapter 450. Please. Little girl, protect this fool Qin Huayu well. Reattach the broken arm and sew it up. Then, feed him a holy water pill and use your celestial qi to dissolve the pill, Yang Dingtian said. Yes. The little girl carried Qin Huayu's body and quickly moved away from Qiu Ruhan's dangerous distance. How's Qin Huayu's heart? Did it suffer any fatal injuries? Yang Dingtian asked. Not yet, but the other side of his chest was completely pierced. When he breathed, all the blood gushed out, little Princess Vulture said. That's not important. He won't die yet. Yang Dingtian said, little girl, other than protecting Yang Dingtian, I'll leave Qin Mingli's safety to you too. Do you understand? I know. You're so long-winded. The little girl said, quickly kill this woman. Yang Dingtian, you're very impressive. In less than half a day, you actually made that bitch Madame Li so devoted to you that she actually tried to harm me. Qiu Ruhan reached out and touched the wound on his back. He sneered, is your martial arts that powerful? The woman you've been with is willing to give up her life for you. You bitch. You're the one who uses your own heart to measure the heart of a loving mother, Yang Dingtian said coldly, all right, stop talking nonsense. No one can save you. Today, on this sea, I'm going to vent my anger on you. Why? Are you going to humiliate me? Qiu Ruhan sneered. Don't make it sound so disgusting. Yang Dingtian said, I'm just going to cut off your arms and legs, peel off your skin, break your bones, and then tear you into pieces. Just the three of you. Qiu Ruhan said disdainfully. Then, she sneered, do it. After saying that, Qiu Ruhan's beautiful eyes suddenly burst out with a terrifying red light. Her long hair soared to the sky, and her 5 claws grew rapidly. Like a devil, she suddenly pounced on the weakest of the 3, Zhu Hongxue. At the same time, the 3 people's sharp swords were like lightning as they rushed towards Qiu Ruhan. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the 3 men's swords pierced into Qiu Ruhan's body and tore it apart. Bang! Suddenly, Qiu Ruhan's body was torn apart and dismembered. Ha 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 ha. But then, Qiu Ruhan's laughter rang out a few hundred meters away. Her gorgeous figure appeared a few hundred meters away. The one who was dismembered just now was only Qiu Ruhan's illusion. Then, Qiu Ruhan's delicate body kept disappearing, appearing, disappearing, and reappearing. Whoosh 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 whoosh, then, a dozen, dozens, and even hundreds of Qiu Ruhan appeared in the air around Yang Dingtian. Each one was exactly the same, and each one was vivid and lifelike. Ha 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 ha. Qiu Ruhan laughed in the air and said, I've already said that you want to kill me with just the 3 of you. You're dreaming. Not only one Qiu Ruhan was laughing, but hundreds of Cho Ruhan were laughing. This scene was incomparably strange. Cho Ruhan's phantom magic skill was too heaven-defying, too abnormal. Although this vicious woman was only a 3-star Grandmaster, she was much more powerful and strange than the 5-star Grandmaster Cho Fengwu. In short, those who were really entangled with evil ways were all powerful and strange. Although this Cho Ruhan was not as good as Wu Maji, it was still chilling. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Then, hundreds of Cho Ruhan's illusions began to move and pounced on Yang Dingtian and the other two ferociously. Although they knew that these were all illusions, it was still very shocking. Moreover, if one of them was real, it would be very scary. Ha ha ha. Despicable and stupid Yang Dingtian, you want to kill me? Dream on, dream on. Cho Ruhan's voice kept ringing in their ears. Countless illusions rushed over crazily. Yang Dingtian and the other two quickly slashed with their swords. However, every time it struck Cho Ruhan's afterimage, it was just an illusion. These endless illusions really made the three of them run for their lives. Cho Ruhan's laughter did not stop. It became more and more arrogant and full of mockery. Song Chunhua came to Yang Dingtian's side and whispered, "Sect Master, we can't go on like this. Her real body will get close to the vulture and take Cho Qingyu and Qin Huayu away. She might even kill the vulture." "I know," Yang Dingtian said. "Actually, she has already sneaked over to the little girl. I'm trying to find her real body." "That's right." While Yang Dingtian was killing the endless phantoms, he was also executing the million-spirit demon flame with countless resentful spirits to chase after Cho Ruhan's figure. "Found her," Yang Dingtian whispered. Then, he suddenly used his invisibility mystic skill and disappeared in the air. At this time, the endless illusions completely surrounded the three of them. Yang Dingtian hid in the isolated space and chased after Cho Ruhan. Cho Ruhan gradually got close to the little princess vulture. At this time, she was carrying two people. One was Qin Huayu and the other was Cho Qingyu. She was also carrying Qin Mengli on her back. Although the little girl was full of vigilance and kept changing directions, she still did not notice Cho Ruhan's approach. Cho Ruhan, who had used her invisibility mystic skill, hid herself in a special robe. However, this was not a complete invisibility. Yang Dingtian's million-spirit demon fire could easily lock onto her. She looked at the little princess vulture and Qin Mengli. Cho Ruhan's gaze became more and more vicious. Her beautiful face became more and more malevolent. She was getting closer and closer. Soon, she was less than 10 meters away from the vulture. "Qin Mengli, go to hell. Little bitch, go to hell." Cho Ruhan waved her sharp claws and was about to claw the little princess vulture and Qin Mengli into minced meat. At this time, Yang Dingtian suddenly appeared. Hiss! He suddenly slashed. Yang Dingtian directly pierced through Cho Ruhan's chest. Cho Ruhan was stunned at first. Then, she felt an incomparable pain in her chest. "Ah!" Cho Ruhan let out a shrill scream. Yang Dingtian suddenly pulled out his sword and aimed at Cho Ruhan's two hands. He slashed down. Swoosh swoosh. Cho Ruhan's incomparably beautiful and vicious hands were chopped off and sent flying. Yang Dingtian twisted his sword and instantly crushed the two severed hands. Then, Yang Dingtian wrapped his arms around Cho Ruhan's neck and sneered, "Madam Qin, tell me, how should I deal with you now?" "Ah!" Cho Ruhan looked at her severed hands and let out a horrified scream. Looking at Yang Dingtian behind her in disbelief, Cho Ruhan said sternly, "Yang Dingtian, I will definitely chop you into pieces." "Chop you into pieces?" "I will definitely turn your wife, your mother-in-law, and all your women into the most lowly prostitutes. I will let them fall into hell." Cho Ruhan did not finish her words. Because of Yang Dingtian's sudden thrust. Swoosh! He directly pierced her mouth with his sword and twisted it. He directly twisted Cho Ruhan's small tongue into pieces. Slash, 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 then, Yang Dingtian raised his sword and stabbed madly. In an instant, countless swords pierced Qiu Ruhan's charming body. Suddenly, her charming body was completely mangled. Qiu Ruhan, who was brutally killed by Yang Dingtian, did not scream. Instead, she burst into laughter and sneered. Fresh blood gushed out from her mouth. However, she was still laughing. The whole scene was full of horror and magnificence. Well, go to hell and laugh, Yang Dingtian said. Then, he grabbed her hair and with a slash of his sword, he was about to cut off Qiu Ruhan's head. Spare her. Suddenly, a thunderous voice came from afar. It was Qin Wanchou's voice. Although they were still dozens of miles away, Qin Wanchou's voice clearly resounded in Yang Dingtian's ears. Then, a cyan figure, as swift as a meteor, instantly arrived not far in front of Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian, spare her, Qin Wanchou said loudly. At this moment, his handsome and heroic face was filled with endless worry and anger. Yang Dingtian, you dare to hurt my wife like this? I wish I could tear you into pieces, Qin Wanchou said angrily. Then, he said with a sobbing voice, Ruhan, why didn't you wait for me? Why didn't you wait for me? Otherwise, why would you encounter such a disaster? Yang Dingtian suddenly frowned. What kind of trick was this Qin Wanchou playing? The one who wanted to kill Qiu Ruhan the most was probably himself. He should have waited until he killed Qiu Ruhan before appearing. Why did he run out now? Suddenly, Yang Dingtian felt that something was wrong. Then, he looked down and found that Qiu Ruhan's body, which was riddled with holes, had stopped bleeding. Then, all the wounds were quickly healing and healing. Fuck! Yang Dingtian cursed angrily in his heart. It was not strange for Wu Maji to have evil spirit energy in her body. Why did Qiu Ruhan have it too? Evil spirit energy was so precious. How could it be Qiu Ruhan's turn? With this strange thing, Qiu Ruhan could not be killed. No wonder Qin Wanchou would appear at this time. Of course, Qin Ji also had evil spirit energy in her body. However, Qin Ji could be killed. The evil spirit energy in her body was not the real evil spirit energy at all. It was just an evil spirit contaminant. It could make Qin Ji strong quickly, but it could not make her immortal. Moreover, if this Qiu Ruhan had evil spirit energy, she should be incomparably strong in an instant. Yang Dingtian would not be her opponent at all. But looking at her cultivation, her progress seemed to be limited. Could it be that she had just obtained evil spirit energy? These thoughts disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yang Dingtian placed his sword on Qiu Ruhan's neck and said coldly, Sect Master Qin, don't come over. Otherwise, your wife will lose her head. A beauty without a head will not look good. Yang Dingtian, let go of my wife and I will let you leave, Qin Wanchou said coldly. It's not that easy. Yang Dingtian said, I want to exchange Madame Qin for two people. Who? Qin Wanchou asked. Ning Ro, and her daughter, little Ning Ning, Yang Dingtian said. Sure. They are locked in Li Shui Castle. You can go and save them now, Qin Wanchou said. Okay, then let Madame Qin accompany us. After 1,000 miles, I will let her go, Yang Dingtian said. No. Qin Wanchou said, what if you break the contract? What if you kill my beloved wife? What will I do? You have to let her go now. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yang Dingtian swung his sword twice and directly cut off Qiu Ruhan's hands that had just grown out a little, cutting them off at the wrists. Yang Dingtian, I will tear you into pieces. Qin Wanchou roared angrily. Sect Master Qin, you have no choice. Yang Dingtian said, then, he suddenly slammed his palm and directly knocked out Qiu Ruhan. He said to everyone, brothers, let's go. Then, Zhu Hongxue, Song Chunhua, Vulture, and the others quickly flew east with Qin Huayu. Sect Master Qin, I'll leave Madame Li and Qiu Qingyu to you. There's no need to thank me. Then, Yang Dingtian and the others quickly flew away. As for Qin Wanchou, he let out an incomparably furious voice in the air. The wind from his palm struck the sea surface crazily, setting off monstrous waves. However, it seemed that he was worried about his wife's safety and didn't dare to catch up. Yang Dingtian and the others, holding Qiu Ruhan hostage, quickly flew more than 1,000 miles away. At this time, Qiu Ruhan had already woken up. Yang Dingtian asked, "Can you tell me why you are qualified to possess the evil spirit energy?" Qiu Ruhan's body had already recovered. Only her hands were cut off by Yang Dingtian again. After hearing Yang Dingtian's answer, she giggled and said, "I felt danger, so I sent myself to Ning Wuming to sleep with. You know, the term beautiful mother-in-law is still very attractive. My body was exchanged for the evil spirit energy in exchange for an immortal body." "No wonder," Yang Dingtian said. "Okay, your show with Qin Wanchou is over. Let me go," Qiu Ruhan said. "I'm sorry, I just happen to lack a specimen to study evil spirits." "Follow me to Cloud Sky City," Yang Dingtian said with a smile. Suddenly, Qiu Ruhan's expression changed drastically. "You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."